SABC is sustainable, able to pay its creditors.
The trial of the 10 accused in the University of Fort Hare murder case has been set for the 5th of May next year. The 10 appeared briefly in the Bisho High Court in the Eastern Cape in a pre-trial conference. They are charged with the murder of the bodyguard of the former Vice-Chancellor, who was murdered in a hail of bullets outside the Vice-Chancellor's home. They are also charged with the death of the varsity's fleet manager, who was murdered in May 2022. 4 of the 10 accused are out on bail, while 6 still remain behind bars. The chairperson of the ANC Subcommittee on International Relations, Nomvula Mokonyane, says the party is firmly focused on reviving and strengthening its relationship with other liberation movements in the SADC region. Mokonyane is leading the ANC delegation in Mozambique ahead of the elections in that country tomorrow. This will be Maputo's 7th polls since the advent of a multi-party democracy in 1994. Mokonyane elaborates.
We're not only looking at economic diplomacy, but the renewal of the party, learning from how the comrades in Frelimo, the comrades in ZANU-PF, the comrades in the Sandinista movement in Nicaragua, the comrades in the Communist Party of Vietnam have actually gone through their own renewals, and us also learning from them.
And Israel says it has killed another senior member of Hezbollah. According to a statement by the military, Suhail Hussein Husseini died as a result of a precise airstrike in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. The Israeli army also says that one of its soldiers was killed and another seriously wounded in Gaza. The BBC's Hugo Bachega has more.
We haven't seen any statement from Hezbollah yet, but these targeted assassinations continue. Israel has managed to essentially decimate the entire leadership of Hezbollah, including Hassan Nasrallah, who for 30 years was the face of Hezbollah, the leader of Hezbollah here in Lebanon. So those airstrikes, the assassinations continue. Yesterday was a busy day of intense airstrikes here in Beirut as well.
The top story at 3 o'clock, the ANC has refuted claims that its Gauteng chair, Panyaza Lesufi, was summoned to Luthuli House to answer to national officials about his negative public remarks regarding the Government of National Unity. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemele.
Coming up in your sports this hour, Banyana squads named for international friendlies and COSAFA championships, and Mo Fields becomes second oldest player to reach Shanghai last 16. More details at 3:30.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 104.4 FM in Durban. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Hello, it's John and for Ashraf for the last time. Ashraf back again tomorrow. He's finishing off his work holiday. He'll be back again tomorrow. It's good to be along with you. What's today? Tuesday already. What are we on? The 8th of October, 12 days to my birthday. Just hashtags, just saying. I'll let you know how you can buy me a birthday present. You don't have to. Welcome to the show. It's we got our fingers on the pulse today, and there are a number of pulses that we are keeping our fingers upon, because there are a number of angles, different stories and angles and nations and things that we're keeping our eye on, and it's a fascinating afternoon, so hopefully you'll join us for most of it. Coming up in a moment, it's this, we know about the horrific story about these 5 young kids who got snacks from a spaza shop and died. I don't know if it's related to that or if it's just a thing that they're going to be doing, but Action SA in KwaZulu-Natal are now calling for an audit of spaza shops in eThekwini to determine how many are owned and run by illegal foreigners. A number of questions you can ask just in that one sentence. How many are owned or run by illegal foreigners? I don't understand it, but we'll talk to Action SA provincial chairperson and find out exactly what they're calling for in that audit. In our Global Watch today, Ethiopia's first female head of state has quit and has been replaced by a new head of state, a new president. Apparently, the president is really just a figurehead, but we're going to chat a little bit more about what's happening in Ethiopia. Our winning feature later on, much later on, is the one of the winners, the best development project at the Eskom Expo International Science Fair. It sounds like a really complicated project that the grade 11 learner did. Grade 11, what's that? Standard 9. That's young, is the point. And it was the study of fish. And I don't understand. We'll get a grade 11 learner to explain exactly what they did in the science. Then the big story, as you heard in the news, is this ongoing story about the ANC in in Gauteng. Panyaza Lesufi has been implicated in an alleged cover-up. And we will hear what that cover-up is all about. We're going to get a couple of angles on that because Barry Bateman of AfriForum has written a stinging update on Panyaza Lesufi's implication in alleged corruption cover-up and thwarting criminal investigation. We're going to hear from Barry Bateman of AfriForum about that. But then along with that, in reply, before he deleted his Twitter account, Panyaza Lesufi replied to say that the letter that Barry Bateman refers to was different to the media release that he sent, what Panyaza Lesufi says, to your media friends, try harder. So we'll get reaction from both AfriForum and from Panyaza Lesufi's office. And while we're there, we'll also ask them about this meeting that the ANC are denying that they called him to Luthuli House. There were these mentions and news reports that Panyaza Lesufi had been summoned to Luthuli House. They're denying that now. Fikile Mbalula, as you heard Madupi telling you, is busy with a media conference at the moment. We're going to bring you sound bites and snippets from Fikile Mbalula and what he has been saying or what he's currently saying at that media briefing. So that's coming up later on in the show. And then also later, part of a good news story just before 5 o'clock, who will be South Africa's next Entrepreneur of the Year? A host of people and individuals who have been nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. There's a emerging entrepreneur, a small business and a medium business entrepreneur. Envious of quite a lot of them, but they've got some fantastic ideas. A tutoring service provider, construction-related service provider, patio furniture manufacturer, strategic growth consulting company, all very different. How do they choose the winner? We will find out later on in the program. Let's get our fingers on that pulse. It's a busy afternoon. 11 minutes past 3.
The wait is finally over, and we can safely say that Tropica Island of Treasure is back to serve you some really great entertainment. Tune into S3 from the 28th of September to cheer on the 7 teams who will be vying to win a shared prize of 1 million rand, a brand new car each, and become the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure Season 11. Fancy 50,000 bucks? Predict the champions of Tropica Island of Treasure and you might be sipping that cold, refreshing Tropica all the way to the bank. Follow at MyTropica and at SABC3 for more information. Channel your inner champion with Tropica Island of Treasure. Starts Saturday the 28th of September at 6:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up. S3.
The reality is that 90% of South Africans don't save enough for retirement. This National Seniors Month, why not be part of the 10% who do? Choose an interest rate of up to 11.7% after 60 months with a Nedbank Electronic Optimum Plus account. Anyone 55 and over can open one on the Money app in less than 2 minutes. Go to nedbank.co.za for more info. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Blue Sharks want to dive deep and secure 3 points to keep the second position in Group C. While the Zebras of Southern Africa are searching for their first win, they want to escape from the basement. Who will enjoy the final whistle dance of celebration? This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco. Cape Verde versus Botswana on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Action SA in KwaZulu-Natal is calling for an audit of spaza shops in eThekwini to determine how many are owned or run by illegal foreigners. It's an attempt to address the needs and concerns of local communities, they say. Let's find out how it's all going to work with Action SA Provincial Chairperson Zwakele Mwangu. Zwakele, good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for joining us. Tell us about this call that you have now. Zwakele, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Tell us about this call that you are having.
Yes, thank you, John, for the opportunity. Let me firstly say the call we are making was a proposal before full council of eThekwini. This comes after one have realized the symptoms, which is unemployment and poverty. The symptoms of what a decline in terms of economy in our townships. But then we have realized that average out of 10 spaza shops in our townships and rural areas, you will find that almost 7 are run by foreigners.
All right, I just want to pause you there. The other day I got criticized for letting people state facts without questioning how they know that. So how do you know that 7 out of 10 are owned by foreigners?
I know this, John, because I move around townships and you go and check the spaza shops. But you understand what I'm saying when you listen to what just give me a chance.
Okay, so it's not research, it's your experience and
yes,
going around and seeing.
It's based on my own experience. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, what then we are saying? We are saying we don't know whether the individuals are illegal in the country or not illegal. But what we know is that the economy in townships have been taken away by those who are not local. So what we are saying to the municipality, can we go and do an investigation in terms of who are the illegal spaza shop owners? And we must underline this point, John. We are saying illegal spaza shop owners. And also we are saying, because the business support in the municipality is proposing that we must give support to spaza shop owners, which are supported, we are saying that's good. There's a good work to be done by the city. We must ensure we give them skills and also assist them with whatever they need to make their business successful. But what we are saying, we know from our personal experience, there are so many spaza shops that are not run or owned by locals. But we need to know first, before you come with this intervention, let us investigate how many of them are actually run by illegal immigrants. But on top of that, we are saying, whenever we assist a shop owner, we must, as a city of eThekwini, sign the agreement with a local person to say, when we give this assistance, there's an agreement that you will never lease or sell this spaza shop to an illegal foreigner. But to our surprise, John, was that then we find the DA abstaining and ANC voting against such a recommendation. We couldn't make sense or understand why anyone wouldn't support an investigation as to how many spaza shops and who are those are here illegally running spaza shops. That's all we're asking from council.
Okay, so you put this forward to the legislature on the 30th of September. As you say, there were the ANC voted against it, the DA abstained. So what is the next process?
The next process, John, we are currently having a petition where, as I said, we are going door to door in our townships in eThekwini. We're going to ask the residents to sign a petition where we'll go back to the municipality. We hand over to the mayor because we believe we must force the municipality to do the right thing, to protect local economy, to protect. We know we grew up having Abo Baba or auntie selling in the spaza shops, and we knew that they were able to feed the families. But today, these spaza shops are taken by illegal immigrants. And we must say, we want to do this lawfully because we don't want anyone to take the laws to their own hands. We want to make sure that legally and lawfully we ensure that we remove those who are illegal immigrants in our townships.
Okay, so unlike other political parties, it's not you that's doing it. You're asking for the authorities to go through the process and make sure that everything is being legit.
Exactly.
Okay.
It must be done within the framework of the Constitution, within the laws of this country. But we must bring back the law and order in our country.
Let's talk about some of the issues. So you've made a number of points about legal and illegal. the word I think you're using a lot is illegally owned spaza shops. That's your issue.
I'm talking about illegal foreigners.
Illegal foreigners. So they're in the country illegally.
illegally.
They're in the country legally. So that's two issues. They're in the country legally. That's one. Second of all, how can you own a spaza shop if you're legally in the country?
That's exactly the question we want to address.
If somebody is,
because we know
if somebody is
in our country.
If somebody is a legal immigrant and they've opened a spaza shop, are you okay with that?
Sorry?
If somebody is in the country legally, they are allowed to be here and they own a spaza shop in a township, are you okay with that?
Yes, if someone is legal in the country, means they follow the processes, they are here lawfully in the country.
Okay.
Our main issue is someone in the country illegally. That's a crime. So we are saying we must enforce the laws, because John, I must say, what is so painful about township economy or this informal economy is that police officers, even metropolis, all over the country, you will find that from local spaza shop owners or anyone who's running a business, they demand so many things. You must have a permission, you must have this and that. But when it comes to illegal immigrants, you find them standing on the street, they can do as they please, and no one even questions them. That is why it's surprising that the ANC can go to council and reject the proposal to actually enforce the law. Because we are saying, just do what the law says. You can't come out from your country, come illegally to South Africa and do as you please. And unfortunately, the problem is this, John. There are times where people get provoked to end up causing violence against all foreigners. And you'll find even those who are here legally are ending up confronted with violence just because of those who are here illegally, who can sell rotten food, because they know they don't care about our laws in this country because they are here illegally anyway.
So, Kelly, we've got a minute. Along with this audit, as you say, or to get to arrest people that are here illegally, which is you think it would happen all the time, you've also got plans to address concerns for local spaza shop opens and be able to help them become better at what they do.
Definitely. That is why we are championing training for our local spaza shops. And as Action SA, we already started in Wambashu, for example. We are piloting where we bought some stock for some local spaza shops. We want to monitor them, mentor them. We are assigning someone who's been in business for a while to mentor them, to see exactly how they can compete in the market. Because this issue to say, no, so and so have a low prices. When you're in business, then you must compete the price if you have to, or compete with your quality in terms of the products. Then you must be able to find the ways of competing in business. So we are saying as well, the government in a Tiwin or individual in the country must ensure that we assist our locals to compete, even talk of buying, bulk buying. If bulk buying, it helps illegal foreigners or foreigners to compete, why can't we help our own locals to do the same?
So, Rakele Mtwangu, thank you very much. Action SA Provincial Chairperson. What do you make of that? I find it strange. If you're illegally in the country, it doesn't matter if you own a spaza shop, you should face the law. 086 000 2032 is the phone number. Our WhatsApp voice note number is already busy, but get in there. 0614 104 107.
This summer, we have extra large offers on Ford Ranger XL, XLT and Wildtrak from only 481,900 for a Ranger XL single cab 4x2. It's the extra large Ranger offer from only 481,900. Visit your nearest participating Ford dealer. Optional service plan included. While stocks last. T&Cs apply. After registering 4 points in their first 2 matches, the Mambas of Mars target a huge win to keep their top status in Group I. But Stangsem Negati want out of the bottom position. They believe not even the Mozambican heat will stop them from getting their first win. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the meeting between neighbors. Mozambique versus Eswatini on Friday 11 October at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Night Talk with Oliver Dixon.
When leaders need to account, we call on them. When society needs to debate, reflect, and advance, we're here to have the conversation. Join me, Oliver Dixon, on Night Talk every Monday to Thursday from 10 to 12 midnight.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
Ashraf's just tweeted that he's listening, so I've got to behave myself, all right? Let's go to our global watch now. Ethiopia's parliament has replaced the country's first female head of state, Sahle-Work Zewde. There have been reports that she's been having difficult working relationship with the current Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, and his colleagues. Professor Mama Muchi is a Pan-Africanist professor for justice, peace and security to help us understand this. Prof, thank you very much. Can you explain what, in Ethiopian politics, what the president does compared to the Prime Minister?
I think thank you for focusing, as always, on important problems in Africa, because in Africa we have so many challenges. Our politics is too dirty, so really it needs to be cleaned. We need public service, public servants, public administration, not people who are driven by other interests. Because of that, what we had was in Ethiopia, we have a really serious challenge the country is in. It's divided by ethnic federalism. And so because of this ethnic federalism, based on language, religion, all right, and tribal divisions, now there's war going on and people are being killed. For example, the people called the Amhara are being massacred. I think what we heard is that the president, the lady, Mrs. Sahle-Work, she was saying that the war should not continue. This kind of war should be stopped. When she said things like that, the other side who were supporting the war said this is negative. In other words, she should be part of the war. So that is the main reason they say why she was not able to continue, and she wanted to leave. And when her term is about to finish, she said that I would like to go. And so now they have another president they have selected, who was also a diplomat, and it did many things in many parts of the world, including Scandinavia, countries like Sweden and others in the United Nations. Also, he was in the Security Council where he tried to defend the problem Ethiopia faces on the Grand Renaissance Dam, and here's things like that. So now they put him, and she is now left, and the main reason they are saying is really related to this continuous situation in Ethiopia that's going on. You remember there's a war that took place that was done in the so-called Tigray area, and then later now there's a war still continuing in the Amhara, what they call the Amhara area, and a lot of people are dying, being killed. It's almost, really genocide type thing is happening in the country. So the country is in a difficult situation. It should not be in this situation. This is a country has got a good record in Africa for being an independent country and fought colonialism and succeeded in winning, creating what's called the Adwa War victory. And so, and it's a country that is really very much an African's ideal and symbol. Prof, and it should not have been in this situation.
I want to talk about the new president. Is that just is he just a figurehead, and will he do what the Prime Minister now says should be done?
I think exactly what this president will be doing is something we cannot at the moment say, but I think from the experience of the previous president, I hope he could learn from what she did. I mean, and I think he should be not continuing the conflict to go on in Ethiopia. There should be peace and security in the country, There's no reason why our people are fighting each other. Why? I mean, it's not external actors like colonialists coming and fighting us. It's each other we're fighting. If he's a president, he should now be really driving this very strongly, saying no war. The war must be stopped. Peace and security. I think that is what I like him to do. And we just don't know now what he will do. Whether he will continue with the war situation, or will he also try to have also, I don't know how much power also he has. I mean, the same thing, that lady also didn't have as much power as she when she had the presidency. Exactly what role they will play as presidents is not very clear.
Right,
we don't know.
Yep. Professor, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Professor Mamamuchi, Pan-Africanist Professor for Justice, Peace and Security. An ongoing issue in Ethiopia. The two houses of parliament elected Tai Atske-Selassie, the country's top diplomat, as the president. All reports say that it's mainly ceremonial position. Executive powers vested in the prime minister. The AU chairperson has congratulated the departing prime minister, or the departing FM, on his election, and reiterated the continued support for the African Union Commission to Ethiopia's journey to deepen the country's democracy and sustainable development. So plenty to talk about already. A couple of WhatsApps have come through, keeping an eye on Twitter. I haven't looked at the SMSs yet, so let me have a look at the SMSs, see if anything comes through. A reminder, the SMS number, 41391. It's going to cost you R1.50 a pop, but you can send an SMS if you don't have the WhatsApps or the Twitters. We'll look through those later on this afternoon. To Museum of Sport in just a moment. We've got traffic with Irma G as well. Then afterwards, we're going to talk about an interesting situation. We got a message from unemployed learners and SMMEs in the OR Tambo region in the Eastern Cape. They were part of a skills development program. Money that they were promised hasn't arrived. We'll find out why after all of the other stuff coming up now.
Very good afternoon. With the news headlines at 3:30, Kemudupi Makhademele. The National Assembly Speaker Togo Titiza has confirmed receipt of Jon Gericke's letter of resignation from the Judicial Service Commission. The ANC has refuted claims that its Gauteng chair Panyaza Lesufi was summoned to the Tuli House to answer to national officials about his negative public remarks regarding the Government of National Unity. And the Eastern Cape Transport says the delays at the King Palo Airport in East London are due to a navigation system being upgraded. Details of these and other stories in your news at 4.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg has a crash reported near Crown Interchange, and the N3 northbound in Bedford has a crash after Van Buren Road. In KZN, the M4 southbound has a crash at the Durban North exit. The M7 has a truck crash reported near Recreation Road, and the N2 southbound has a crash reported after Umgeni Road. In Cape Town, the M3 southbound slow moving towards Rhodes Drive, the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound queuing towards Voortrekker Road, and Brighton Road is slow moving at the N1 highway. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tumi Nkapele.
Afternoon, Tumi. What's happening in the sport today?
Hey, John. We start things off with football, where Banyana coach Desiree Ellis has named her 23-woman squad to face England and Denmark in international friendlies this month. The team sees the omission of Jermaine Seopo-Sengwe, and the games will be part of the African Champions preparations for next year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Now, there's been questions around why Mamelodi Sundowns keeper Andile Dlamini is always included in the team, even though she doesn't have a lot of game time, and this is what Ellis had to say.
When we called Andile up to the World Cup, right, we had made a decision that we were going to play Kalen, right? Andile didn't get a lot of game time, but we needed the experience. Likewise now, again, we need the experience. And that's why I've called up Andile. It's a juggling act where when Andile didn't play at the World Cup, there were a lot of questions, but what people forget that she also didn't have game time. And nobody brought that up at the time, that she didn't have regular game time. But we do need the experience. We're not going to play Mickey Mouse teams here. We're going to play England, who's number 2 in the world. We're going to play Denmark, who's number 12 in the world. So you need your experience and you need your best available players. And that is the reason why I've called up Andile.
Well, a second team was also announced that will compete in the COSAFA Championships, and it will be coached by University of Pretoria head coach Maud Khumalo. South Africa and Group A alongside Namibia, Eswatini and the Seychelles. Meanwhile, Orlando Pirates midfielder Selailo Raseboja is adamant that the Soweto Giants have what it takes to emerge from the CAF Champions League group stages that was confirmed yesterday, and it includes title holders Al Ahly. It's the first time in 5 years that the Buccaneers reached this phase of the continental competition, and some might argue that they are not favourites to win the group when they come up against the North African powerhouse Algeria's CR Belouizdad and Stade Abidjan of Côte d'Ivoire.
It's a platform for all the best teams in Africa, so everyone has, their bragging rights to claim. So it's just a matter of going out there, apply ourselves like we've been doing. I mean, we went to Spain for the preseason. I think mentally we've been preparing ourselves for such occasions, being out there, being an underdog, I guess. But I don't think that applies to Orlando Pirates. It's an institution of winning, We're going out there to play our best football, to win and represent South Africa very well.
Elsewhere, Spain World Cup winner Andrea Iniesta has retired from playing at the age of 40. Iniesta is widely regarded as one of the greatest players in history, thanks in part to midfield partnerships that he formed with Xavi Hernandez and Sergio Busquets for Spain and Barcelona. He earned 131 caps for his country, scoring the winning goal in the 2010 FIFA World Cup final and winning the European Championship in 2008 and 2012. In tennis, Gael Monfils became the second oldest player to reach the last 16 of the Shanghai Open today. He beat compatriots 7-6, 2-6, 6-1 in 2 hours and 14 minutes to set up his next round match against Carlos Alcaraz. It will be the third time the pair will face each other this year. The most recent meeting saw Monfils beat Alcaraz in Cincinnati. In the meantime, 10th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas defeated Alexandre Müller of France 6-3 and 7-5 at the Shanghai Masters to set up a round 16 clash with rival Daniil Medvedev. It'll be the 14th time Tsitsipas and Medvedev will go head-to-head at an ATP tournament. On that note, it is a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Monfils is 38.
38
years old. Still with the best. Against Carlos Alcaraz, who's like 12.
Youngins. Yeah.
Sure.
Gen Z, yeah. But brilliant.
Yesterday and
Don't start.
No, I'm starting.
Don't start.
Last week and yesterday, Tumi, she's having a go at me about my slow running. Remember, I don't know if you were listening yesterday, but at no time did I think to ask Tumi what her current 5K pace is. So I'll leave it. I'm gonna let you stew for a bit. We'll see. So she what did you say? That you hope I forgot?
John, don't do that.
What goes off air stays off air, in theory.
Exactly.
Except when it comes to dissing me about my running speed.
I wasn't dissing you. I was just asking.
You did save me towards the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
So what's it like? Don't ask a woman her age, her weight, and how fast her 5K is.
That's the thing.
Is that the thing?
That is the thing.
Okay. Tumi, thank you very much. More sport in an hour.
Are we ready for a real conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week as contestants bake for a spot in the top 5. But to make it through, they must overcome their most ambitious challenge yet, designing, baking and decorating their dream birthday cake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
Andile, the CEO of a multinational corporation, is driving home with his daughter.
Dad, why is the tooth fairy so stingy?
Stingy? Well, she makes sure everyone gets something.
Does everyone at your company get something?
Yes, they're covered by Old Mutual Corporate's employee benefits.
Even Abdul.
Of course, he gets retirement benefits.
And Sisampo on that big machine.
She gets group risk cover if that big machine hurts her.
Wow, that's amazing, Dad.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
The Blue Sharks want to dive deep and secure 3 points to keep the second position in Group C. While the Zebras of Southern Africa are searching for their first win, they want to escape from the basement. Who will enjoy the final whistle dance of celebration? This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco. Cape Verde versus Botswana on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you, Sport.
For the love of the game.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
We've done 2 stories, and already phone lines have lit up, WhatsApps have lit up, SMSs and tweets have lit up as well. One was thanking us for doing the Ethiopia story, because there's so much focus in other parts of the world that we forget about conflicts and things happening in other places. So it's a pleasure in our Global Watch. Coming up in a moment, we're going to talk to unemployed learners and SMMEs in the Timber District region in the Eastern Cape. There's a skills development program, and they haven't been given their money. First, let's go to Colin in Cape Town. You want to talk about spaza shops, Colin?
Yes, John, but before I talk about spaza shops, do me a favor, man. You and Ashraf must get into a habit of giving us more or less what time you're going to speak to a guest. You always say later, later, later. Now, sometimes we're not sitting by the radio all the time. We're outside and we listen to certain topics. It will be nice if you give us like 10 past 4, we can talk to so-and-so, 3 into 5, we can talk to so-and-so. You know what I mean? Give us a guideline.
Can I give you a secret? I'm going to give you a radio secret now, Colin, that I'm not allowed to do. I signed an NDA because it's a radio secret, right? It's done on purpose. All right, don't tell anybody though. All right, we do it on purpose.
Because I tell you, Alden St. Pierre used to give us at the beginning of the program, at 20 past 4, we're going to talk to so-and-so. At 20 to 5.
I get it.
Okay.
Well, we do it on purpose to keep you listening. Don't tell anybody, all right?
But then I'm going to walk outside, put my little cell phone radio on, my earphones.
Give you a topic, Colin. Give you a topic, Colin.
Okay, John. John, the spaza shops.
Yes.
Do you know something? We got our own South Africans that rent out these spaza shops also. Right, number one. And another thing to know, John, I've seen it here. I know of people, not in my area, but when I talk to them, one's got a permanent residence here. Now, he rents a shop or he buys a shop. Then he recruits. When he expands, he recruits from Bangladesh and Pakistan, and they come in. That's why you see always different people in the shop all the time. About 3, 4, 5 months, he's gone. He's gone somewhere else. They open up their own shops. It's the ones who got permanent residence also. And our guys must also stop renting out their properties to these illegal people. Our guys don't care. So long as the money comes in. Okay, John, that is what I wanted to talk about.
Thank you very much. Colin in Cape Town. Let's go to Tabo in Ekurhuleni. Hi.
Hello, John.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. John, about the spaza shop in townships, I supported the guy that you interviewed earlier on concerning that 90%, if not 98% of the township spaza shops are owned by let me say foreigners. It's not a nice word, but I'll use it. Are owned by foreigners. Most of them, I think, they are illegal because police officers, they come every now and then there to extort money. When the police goes in, when he comes out, he's carrying 2 liters, carrying anything that they want. And these people, they're also selling illegal cigarettes. And the product that they use, I'm a 90s baby. Back in the days, the Black Township you would see a Coca-Cola truck coming to deliver any Coke product, or you see a bakery truck, a branded, well-known, maybe it's Albani or Sunbake. But now the people that are coming with the stock to them, it's not well-known companies. Like these people, they do as they please. I'm telling you, even now, the police officers, they know about
So
it.
that to me, again, there's two issues there, right? It's the people that are doing it illegally, and I get that, and that's what we're talking about. But the second issue is the fact that cops are helping them.
Yes, exactly. And then I asked one police officer that I'm close to, that I know that but how are these guys operating? Does the government know about this? The guy says yes, especially ANC delegates. They know about this, and they are benefiting from these people. These people, they have a stock of illegal cigarettes. That is, John, you know, it's like it's painful what we are going through. And us, we are 90s baby. They tell us about ANC, what is it has achieved, but us, the 90s baby, when we talk about ANC, we know disgrace, we know corruption, we know shame.
Well,
There's nothing good. It's only all you older people that can say something nice about ANC, because probably you've experienced nice things about ANC. Us, the young ones, we don't know anything nice about ANC.
All right, okay, thanks for the call. That was what Action SA was saying as well. When they put this this proposal presented to the legislature on the 30th of September, they say, and I quote, I don't know about ANC voting against this. That was the ANC provincial spokesperson. They said they didn't even know because the Action SA say the ANC couldn't even argue. They went against the recommendation, even the DA as well. The DA just abstained without saying why they're abstaining. But when the Citizen try and get hold of the ANC provincial spokesperson said that he didn't know about the ANC voting against it. He says the ANC supports the investigation of foreign shops and supports local economic empowerment. Let's take a couple of voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Good afternoon, John and SAFM listeners. The question of Action SA in KZN is very clear. How many of those tuck shops are owned by illegal foreigners? I can tell you now, majority of them are illegal foreigners, maybe 90%. But those who are illegal, those who are legal, do they have the right to be running those tuck shops? Because in terms of the act, the Refugee Act, not every foreigner is allowed to run a business in South Africa. Now, those who are legal, are they allowed to be running businesses? Maybe no. So Action SA is right there. They must check that. The law must apply, John. The law must apply. It's Marumo in Mahiki. Keep on asking the same question over and over and over again. If it's illegal, it's not supposed to be here. Thank you.
Hi, afternoon, John. You're speaking Manzini from Ekukuletu. Can you please do me a favor, please, man? Can you please try and call that number of SASA, the toll-free number of SASA, and tell me if it's working, please? Was the guy last week said no, that the phones are working, everything is working. Can you please just do it, please, and then tell me if it's working? Thank you.
Okay, challenge accepted. I don't know if I'll be able to do it on air. Contact us, SASA Services. Can we do it? Toll-free number. You ready? We're gonna try 0800 60 10 11. That's what we've been told. We've been told it's working. We will do it just before 4 o'clock because we've got to do an interview now.
4 dynamic design duos reimagine and reinvent 4 apartments in a century-old building nestled in the vibrant suburb of Sea Point, Cape Town. Armed with creativity, determination, and a limited budget, the duos fight against the clock to transform this grand old dame into a contemporary masterpiece, all under the critical eyes of an expert judging panel. The winning duo will claim a grand prize of 300,000 Rand, with an additional 100,000 Rand going to the fan favorite team, as voted by viewers. Channel your inner wow with My Design Rules, Sundays at 7 p.m, only on S3. Open up. Becoming Elizabeth is the fascinating story of the early life of England's most iconic queen. With no clear heir, the death of King Henry VIII sets into motion a dangerous scramble for power. Elizabeth's fascinating and factual journey to secure the crown is filled with scheming, betrayal, and illicit relationships that threaten to bring forth her demise. At a time in which every man or woman of the court is on the wheel of fortune, which may take them to a position of great power one moment, or the executioner's block the next. Channel your inner royalty with Becoming Elizabeth, Saturdays at 9:30 p.m. only on S3. Open up.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
12 minutes to 4, you're with SAFM. In conversation now with Ayanda Kolombile, who represents unemployed learners and SMMEs in the OR Tambo region in the Eastern Cape. They were part of a skills development program targeting unemployed youth beneficiaries for the duration of 3 months. Apparently, some of them haven't been paid what is due to them, and there's no proper explanation as to why they haven't received their payments. Ayanda, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Give us some background here. What was this program?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. We attended this program for about 3 months, but the challenge now that we're experiencing is that we haven't received the certificates that we were promised. We haven't received the stipends that we were promised, and now the people that are supposed to help us, which is cheaper, that we're facilitating the whole program, are just sending us pillar to post. And some of the venues, that is the centers that the learners attended this program, received nothing. Some of the learners received half of the class. The only money that we received in some venues, it's 2,900 rands, which is the 900 rands was paid back in April, and then the 2,000 was paid beginning of September. But some of the learners, even that 2,000 stipend was not given to them. And the remaining amount, they're saying that they can't pay us because there are some centers that were not paid at all. So we must accept the fact that some of us were given that money, which is not an excuse, because with the talks that we had with SEDA, that as SMMEs of OR Tambo, but particularly that is KSD, Nyandeni, and Mhlonhlo. Sorry?
I want to understand the money. So SEDA, the Small Enterprise Development Agency, gave money to who? MTL and Chipper?
Yes, exactly. That's correct.
Okay, and MTL and Chipper, and I just want to say the value here, you say 62 million rand sent to them.
Yes, according to Mr. Mulezane, said to us the meeting that we had here in OR Tambo municipality, that is OR Tambo district municipality, said that the 62 million was given to MTL and Chipper, which is was the money that was supposed to be paid for SMMEs nationally.
Okay.
You see,
so a percentage of that would have been used for you in the Eastern Cape in OR Tambo.
Yes, it's some money from that 62 million.
Okay, so what are these people doing now? They were promised all this. They were promised $2,000 a month. They haven't got their money. What are they doing?
That is the student you say now.
Yes.
You see now the problem is we stopped attending the classes because they're not coming to us to talk to us properly. And even Mr. Mulitsan, that is from Tinga, said the money has been paid, and we received the confirmation that they received the money, and we stopped to go to the classes because all the promises, the agreements that we were given, we were not met actually, because no certificates, and now the problem is that we are under the program which. It's more like a learnership, and we're still under the program that we cannot even attend or apply to any learnership because we're still under the year program.
Okay, so you've received no certificate to say that you have successfully completed this course?
Nothing.
And as you say, you can't apply for something else because you're still under it. Okay, so this course, who Who did the course? Who were the lecturers? Who was the group of people who were putting on the course? MTL and Chipper.
On our side, because we understood or we heard that MTL and Chipper had a joint venture. Yeah.
Okay.
So on our side in the Eastern Cape, Chipper was the one that was facilitating the program. So Chipper hired some facilitators to be our lecturers.
And what do the
For the
facilitators say?
business skills.
What do the facilitators
Sorry?
say? What do the facilitators say?
The facilitators are also saying that they were not also paid enough money. In fact, they were not paid the full amount of stipend that they were promised as well. And they know nothing because it's more like they are paying cuts. They were their church, which is Chipper and MTL. They're not telling the facilitators what is really the problem or what type of a challenge they're encountering for them not to pay, not to give out certificates, not to remove us from the program so that we can be able to apply to other learnerships as we are SMMEs, because this is a skills program for the business, small businesses.
Did you learn stuff? I mean, Ayanda, were there at least some educational value to the time that you spent?
Yes, we did. We did, because we did have material, even though the material, some of the material which is book 5 was not really enough, but we did learn a lot, Shane. I don't want to lie.
So you've learnt a lot, but you've got no certificate to prove that you've learnt anything. You're still in this learnership. You can't get out. So the whole thing has just been a waste of time, and the promises that you were given are just non-existent. Have some people been paid? The stipend?
For example, in our class here in KSD, 27, we were 26. Only 19 were paid. Some of the people were not paid, like Linda Mboyi, Anele. There were about 7 or 8 people were not paid in our center. And in some centers, most of them were not paid. In some centers, none of them were paid.
Right. And your attempt, and we've been trying to get hold of MTL and Chipper, we'll tell you about that in a bit. In your attempts to get hold of MTL and Chipper, what success have you had?
Okay, we tried to talk to Mr. Nganda, Mr. Nganda is the one that was, I can say maybe was supervising the facilitators. I can say it like that, because we were not really given his position. So we spoke to him. He would say, okay, I'm talking to the bosses. I'm talking to other people, the ones that they can give us the answer. But he will say no tomorrow. Then when you call him tomorrow, no, these people didn't give me an answer, didn't respond. And then we tried to break through to Dimakato, which we believe is the MTL, because she's in KZN. But Dimakato was very, I can say she was rude. Because when I said to her, please, when are we expecting to get the stipends, and when are you going to give us the stipends for the 3 months? She said, no, you're gonna get only for 2 months. I mean, for 1 month, which is May. I said, what about June?
Yes.
Later. But we didn't understand. We say later. When is later? Because that was already September.
Yeah, Colin in Cape Town would have an issue with that as well. All right, Ayanda, we've raised the point. I just want to let you know, and my listener as well, Ayanda, that we are trying desperately to get hold of 1, 2, 3 people. You've given us contact details for those 3 people. They're not getting back to us. 1 or 2 have promised and said that, yeah, we will, but now they're not answering their phone, just like you experienced. But we will keep on with both Chipper, MTL, and we will go up to CEDA as well, the Small Enterprise Development Agency, who gave all of this money, the 62 million rand nationally, in the hope, I guess, that Chipper and MTL will make something of it, but it doesn't seem as if they have. So we've raised the point. Ayanda Kolombile, as an unemployed graduate at the OR Tambo SMMEs, as you heard, the skills development program that seems to have fallen through. We will try to get hold of Chipper, we'll try and get hold of MTL, and we'll try and get hold of CEDA for you. We'll see what comes out of it.
Okay, maybe did you try Department of Small Business?
We will try. We're gonna run through all of the lists and work our way up the ladder, Ayanda. We're gonna see what happened here.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Ayanda Kolombila, unemployed graduate representing the OR Tambo SMMEs. Good luck to her. As I said, we're on the phones. People said they would come on. We wanted to give right to reply, but they're not now answering their phones when we're trying to get hold of them to put them on air now. We were going to talk to them for 5 minutes at 5 minutes to. So that's where we stand at the moment. The story is not going away. Can we try the SASSA number? Because we're helping with charities and things. 0800 60 10 11. Keys is going to be able to try and get that on the phone. I think he's dialing it. He's got what's happening because we don't have the burp burp like in the
Hello.
olden days.
Sawubona.
There we go.
Dumelang.
It works.
Thobela.
Put it down. Let's try again.
Welcome to the South African Social Security Agency
It works.
Contact Center.
Let's put it down. Let's try again. Because I don't like taking a phone line, but I just want to try one more time. 0800 60 10 11.
Hello.
There we go.
Sawubona.
Straight away.
Dumelang.
It works.
Thobela.
So, yeah.
Welcome to the South African Social Security Agency Contact Center.
It works. All right.
If you are
Thank you very much.
calling regarding the 350 grant, please press 1.
All right. We believe it, Keys. Thank you. It works. So try again. I know there is a note on the SASSA webpage right down the bottom in very small print. Toll-free calls will only apply to calls made via landlines. Placing a call with a cellular phone may lead to additional costs. But there's no note there about not answering if you're on your cell phone. So you might have to pay if you're on a cell phone. If you can, and I realize that the toll-free is free and that's why you want to do it, but if you can, hop onto the website and see if you can find a phone number for the regional office. There's one in every province, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Every province has a regional office with an address and a phone number as well. Maybe you'll get a little bit more luck phoning the regional office, but we tried twice, I'm sorry. 0800 60 10 11 are the SASSA offices. You with SAFM coming up, I'd love to tell, coming up, Colin, at just after the news. So I don't know what time that'll be, but coming up after the news, we are going to find out a little bit more what is happening with Panyaza Lesufi and AfriForum. We're going to talk to AfriForum first. We'll get right of reply to Panyaza Lesufi. AfriForum saying that the Premier's alleged corruption cover-up and thwarting a criminal investigation. We'll find out all about all of that after the news.
The top stories at 4 o'clock, a confirmation of Hlophe's JSC resignation and the ANC rubbishes claims around Gauteng Premier. A very good afternoon. National Assembly Speaker Thoko Titiza has confirmed receipt of Jon Hlophe's letter of resignation from the Judicial Service Commission. The MK party leader in Parliament served the resignation letter yesterday, just days after the Western Cape High Court interdicted him from participating in the process of interviewing prospective judges for vacant posts at various courts. Abongwe Kobokana reports.
Didiza says she has informed Chief Justice Mandi Samaya on Hlophe's resignation from the JSC. She says in line with the rules of Parliament, the National Assembly will now designate another MP to serve on the JSC. Hlophe was impeached for gross misconduct in March this year. It was Parliament who voted to impeach him. Last week, the JSC denied a request from the MK party to postpone this week's interviews pending the outcome of a case on Hlophe's designation to the JSC. Abongwe Kobokane, SABC News at Parliament.
The ANC has refuted claims that its Gauteng chair Panyaza Lesufi was summoned to Luthuli House to answer to national officials about his negative public remarks regarding the Government of National Unity. Party SG Fikile Mbalula briefed the media on the outcomes of the ANC's National Working Committee meeting.
So the report that they were summoned and called to meet the officials to face a disciplinary action together with Panyaza are unfounded. And at the same time, they are simply peddling of lies. When a member of the ANC is subjected to a disciplinary process, is not called to the officials meeting. The officials meeting, when you are called for political engagement.
Eastern Cape Transport says the delays in the King Palo Airport in East London are due to a navigation system being upgraded. The department says the challenge is further exacerbated by poor visibility due to the adverse weather conditions in most parts of the province, including in East London. Spokesperson Unathi Binqosi says the department is constantly checking the progress and looking for solutions.
The delay or cancellation of flights is not ideal at King Palo Airport, and the frustration of travelers is perfectly understandable, but we also acknowledge that the safety of travelers is paramount to anything. We are pleading with travelers to constantly stay in touch with their various airlines and take advice from AXA, and we as the province will continue to be in touch with all the role players at the King Palo Airport to ensure that we put this matter to rest, because having fair weather airports is certainly not ideal for a province like ours.
The Western Cape government says it is addressing extortion in the minibus taxi sector. It says the provincial ministers of police oversight and mobility have called on victims, particularly minibus taxi owners and operators, to report crimes to police. The provincial government says extortion undermines the safety and security of taxi workers and also affects commuters. It says the Department of Mobility has received numerous calls since announcing extortion as a key focus area for October's Mobility Month. The taxi industry moves tens of thousands of residents daily. And the death toll in the N12 road crash at Richie and Modderrivier in the Northern Cape has risen to 7. The crash happened between a bakkie and an SANDF combi on Sunday. 5 people died on the scene. 15 passengers in the SANDF combi were hospitalized and later discharged. Police spokesperson Sergio Koch says all the deceased who were in the bakkie were male.
The Modderrivier SAPs are investigating a case of culpable homicide after the Red Corsa bakkie and the SANDF minibus allegedly collided. Further investigation reveals that the bakkie had 8 male occupants, of which 7 died as a result of injuries sustained in the accident. Preliminary reports indicate that the SANDF minibus was traveling with 15 occupants, 11 females and 4 males, and all were taken to hospital for medical attention. All the minibus passengers were discharged from hospital on the 7th of October 2024.
The top story at 4 o'clock, National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza has confirmed receipt of John Gericke's letter of resignation from the Judicial Service Commission. For SAFM News, Kemudupi Makhalemeli.
In sports this hour, Bulls muscle up for URC tour and Culling knockout last 16 fixtures confirmed. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg has a crash reported near Crown Interchange. In KZN, the N2 southbound has a crash after Mgeni Road, and the N7 has a truck crash reported near Recreation Road. In Cape Town, the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound queuing towards Hospital Bend. The N1 outbound is slow moving towards the M5 Kubrick Interchange, and the M5 southbound slow moving towards Milner Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.1 FM in Johannesburg. The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
7 minutes past 4, you with SAFM. Just a quick update on that story that we were talking about a moment ago. This is the Cedar situation that we were telling you about with Ayanda Tolombile, the unemployed graduate. Update you on a couple of things. We've been on the phone. We were on the phone the whole afternoon, really. But we finally got hold of somebody at Cedar, the Small Enterprises Development Agency, who say that they are in contact with Chipper and MTL, asking them what is the situation. And Cedar have promised that the situation will be sorted by Friday. What's today? Tuesday. So CEDA have told us they're just waiting for communications people to confirm and be able to come on air and talk to us. But CEDA, our contact there, has said that they are in talks with MTL and Chipper about a number of issues. I'm imagining 62 million rand is a lot of money, and the whole situation will be solved by Friday. So guess what we will be doing? Well, Ashraf will be doing on Friday is we will be re-looking at this story. It's not going away. And Columbile, thank you very much for raising it. And we'll talk about that on Friday and maybe on to Monday. Coming up in a moment, after the ad break, Colin, we'll be talking to AfriForum. The private prosecution unit there has released a statement alleging Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi was implicated in a corruption cover-up and thwarting criminal investigations. We will give the Gauteng Premier's spokesperson, Sizwe Pamla, right of reply to what Barry Bateman has to say. And then around about 10 to 5, who will be South Africa's next entrepreneur of the year? Might be a little early, might be later, but it will be on the show.
Catch the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7 on SABC2. It's another elimination week as contestants bake for a spot in the top 5. But to make it through, they must overcome their most ambitious challenge yet, designing, baking and decorating their dream birthday cake. That's the Tastemaster Junior this Tuesday evening at 7, repeat Wednesdays at 1 and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on SABC2.
EFC 118 promises to be one of the most scintillating fight nights in recent memory with 2 standout matchups. Fresh off his incredible run in The Ultimate Fighter, Rody Roots battles for the interim featherweight strap against deadly kickboxing specialist Ayanda Zwane, whilst the co-main event witnesses the return of the one and only Martin the Punisher Van Staden, who takes on fellow veteran Hanru the Bully Boda. EFC 118 from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Man, spot on, 10 past. AfriForum private prosecution unit released a statement earlier today alleging that Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi was implicated in corruption, cover-up and thwarting criminal investigations. According to the statement, Panyaza Lesufi is alleged to be a central figure in a massive cover-up of rampant corruption, money laundering and fraud that has cost the provincial government hundreds of millions of rand that was allocated to the Department of Social Development to support needy NGOs. AfriForum private prosecution unit spokesperson Barry Bateman joins me on the line. Let's find out a little bit more. Barry, good chatting to you again. Thanks for joining us. What is this cover-up? What are they covering up?
Is several forensic reports dating back to allocation of funds from 2016. These reports were handed over to the Gauteng provincial government, the first among the reports in about 2019, and notably, one of the reports was handed to Panyaza Lesufi himself while he was the acting MEC for social development. Since then, and up until recently, these reports were raised with the provincial government, the Premier in particular. And what has happened is there's been a series of events. In the background, there were attempts to hold these people accountable. 13 of the officials implicated in the reports were suspended, and it was widely reported. But until recently, the suspensions were lifted, and all efforts to try and hold them accountable as per the findings in these forensic reports were made to go away. For example, the law firm that was going to hold the disciplinary hearings, their mandate was terminated. The efforts to ensure that the criminal investigation of the matter with the Hawks has been suspended. In other words, that they're not, the provincial government is not assisting the Hawks in continuing their investigation. And it is the whistleblower that's come forward that has placed all these decisions at the Premier's desk. And that is why we have written to him to ask him to explain why these things are happening.
Tell us about this letter, because this letter is in contention. In a tweet before he deleted his Twitter account, he said that it's opposite to the media release you sent to your media friends.
I don't understand what he's referring to. The contents of the media statement is identical to what's in the letter. we put certain facts out and we raise pertinent questions. So I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Okay, tell us about the letter. You wrote to him to ask why he did this?
Exactly that. We have set out all the facts that we have them. We have had sight of various reports. Maybe it's not just one. It's Bowman's, FSG, there's BDO. There's various of these law firms over a series of years that were appointed to investigate malfeasance. In some instances, and this is part of the problem, you have one company that has found certain adverse findings against officials, and then the provincial government would appoint another law firm to review those findings. We say that's fruitless and wasteful expenditure. It's also shopping for a favorable opinion. So we put out all these facts to the Premier, and we've said what the whistleblower is telling us in terms of his involvement. And Premier Lesufi is certainly au fait with all these facts because he's personally involved in the certain meetings that we refer to. And we would like him to explain, example, why were the 13 officials implicated in this corruption, fraud, money laundering? Why were their suspensions lifted? Why were they not taken on a disciplinary hearing? We also want to know, were these steps taken as required in terms of the Prevention and Combating of Corrupt Activities Act for an accounting officer to report certain crimes to the authorities? If not, why not? Those kind of questions, we would like answers from the Premier, and we're doing this. We represent a whistleblower, and the reason why we're representing a whistleblower is because they're too scared to come out publicly and to report what is going on within this Gauteng government.
In your letter to the media, there are allegations here. The reason for this fear is that the full investigation into the allegations will eventually lead to the final beneficiaries of these illicit funds, implicating that or implying that Panyaza Lesufi could be one of those final beneficiaries.
Absolutely, that is the allegation. We have to understand how these, let's call them enterprises, operate. You've got people who ensure that certain people are protected from disciplinary hearings, and they facilitate the movement of funds to certain service providers or people who benefit, and they eventually the funds come full circle. That is the allegation that we are dealing with here. And we're saying the reason that the steps were taken to stop the investigation, to stop the disciplinary inquiry going ahead. I just want to add one more thing, John. The Bowmans was conducting an investigation. Their mandate was allowed to lapse, and they were going to take the next step to show that full circle coming back. We say that is strategic. We say that was done specifically so that the funds couldn't be followed all the way to the final beneficiary. So you're quite right. We do make allegations in there. And we do believe that very senior people in the local government have a lot to answer for.
You know, Barry Bateman, that we're going to get messages that this is AfriForum just looking forward to bring down a successful black man, just to cover that.
Let's go on what the facts are. Well, there are at least half a dozen reports that have been filed with the provincial government. In the last year, we have seen steps that were initiated to be taken against these individuals, but through the Office of the Premier, it appears that steps were taken to these people to escape any kind of accountability. That is the issue we're dealing with. Those are the questions we want answered, and it's as simple as that.
How much money are we talking about, Barry?
Hundreds of millions. That's at least in these financial years, 2016, 17, 17, 18. And we're talking hundreds of millions that was paid to NPOs that the money did not reach the final beneficiaries. We're talking things related to food bank programs, dignity pack programs, school uniform programs, where certain preferred, if you want to call them that, suppliers were used, and inflated prices. And people approving these contracts where the appointed suppliers ought never have been able to get the contract because they simply did not qualify to do the job. So a lot of money over several years that benefited a lot of people. And I just want to point out, John, that these forensic reports are thorough. They identify the individuals by name, their role in the enterprise, where they were in the provincial government, what they did in terms of what they authorized, and their links, because there's links between these people and those service providers on the outside, which creates the conflict of interest, which shows that there were certain people making decisions internally in order to benefit other people outside the provincial government.
How did the whistleblower get hold of you?
Yes, we were approached by the individual on advice of somebody else. And we get it all the time. There's this distrust with the authorities. There's this distrust with government that if you raise issues of corruption, and, we don't have to look far. We just look at Babita Deokaran, where she started flagging issues internally in the government, and we know what happened to her. There is a fear that if you speak out against corruption, that you will be targeted. And we are seeing in this particular instance what is happening, where there are serious allegations of corruption, and instead of it being acted upon to ensure accountability, the steps that were taken are in fact being reversed. And there is this fear that this corruption and malfeasance will continue.
Besides the tweet from Panyaza Lesufi, what response have you got to the letter to the Premier's office?
Well, we've got incredible support. People saying that they want to see accountability in government, that it's a long time coming. Of course, there's going to be criticism, but we take that on the chin. But we are encouraged to see that there are many people who want to see clean governments, who want to have accountability from the leaders that they've put into government.
What is the next step?
Well, we're waiting for a response from Premier Lesufi. We are encouraged to see that he was so swift to respond on social media, and we hope he'll do the same in a formal letter.
Barry Bateman, thank you very much for that, and we'll get a response from Panyaza Lesufi's office in a moment. Barry Bateman is AfriForum's Private Prosecution Unit spokesperson.
For 18 years, Kumbulekaya has been fostering healing through forgiveness and reconciliation.
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
I grew up without a mom.
So what happened to your family?
What family? You are my family. What happened to you?
Witness as families forgive one another and reunite after a long time. Catch the new season of Kumbulekaya on SABC1 every Wednesday at 9 p.m.
TUT Matatanta ladies are hungry for victory to climb up the ladder, but Royal AM have an incredible game plan to triumph and keep their top half position. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. TUT Matatanta Ladies FC versus Royal AM Ladies on Saturday, 12 October at 11:30 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Is there ever a bad time for a good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
All right, Sizwe Pamela's not answering the phone, or we got Sizwe. Looks like we got Sizwe on the phone. Gauteng Premier spokesperson. You just heard Barry Bateman there, AfriForum's Private Prosecution Unit spokesperson, about the corruption allegations levelled against Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. Premier spokesperson Sizwe Pamela gets right of reply to those allegations. Sizwe, thank you very much for joining us. I don't know if you heard that interview, but what do you make of the allegations? Sizwe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, I don't know if you heard the interview, but what do you make of these allegations by AfriForum?
Well, I didn't hear the interview, but what I can tell you is that in South Africa we have law enforcement agencies. And the Gauteng provincial government is very much committed to the fight against crime. We encourage anyone with allegations. They must take all the evidence that they have, send it over to the law enforcement agencies, and then allow people who are properly qualified to conduct the investigation. That is as far as we can respond to these allegations.
Okay, so AfriForum's letter to you, when I say you, I mean the Premier's office and Panyaza Lesufi specifically, will there be a reply from the Premier in answer to questions?
No, not at all. We have so many problems. As I'm talking to you now, we're in Soweto in Naledi, visiting the 5 families that are bereaved. And earlier this morning, we were in Tsakane, joining the Minister of Police to discuss the issues of cooperation between national, provincial and local government when it comes to fighting crime. We don't really have the time. As soon as we receive anything from law enforcement agencies, of course we will. But we are not going to be harassed by people who think that they have the power to do so. The reality is that if they were genuine about fighting corruption, they will not be doing a media tour on these allegations. So we are challenging them to hand over all the evidence that they have and protect the whistleblower that they have, because as a provincial government, we are very much committed to the protection of whistleblowers.
You see, that's part of the fear. Barry Bateman brought that up, is the fear that whistleblowers have of being identified and bringing it to the officials.
No, that's why I was saying, when it comes to the fight against crime, we're very much committed as a Gauteng provincial government. And Premier Lesofie made it very clear that he's unwavering in his fight against corruption. So the issue of protection of whistleblowers is very important. And we do hope that his whistleblower who decided not to go to law enforcement agencies but go to AfriForum will also knock at the doors of South African Police Service and other law enforcement agencies, because what they are talking about is serious. And if people are taking seriously the fight against crime, they cannot then be playing mind games. So we do hope that when they are done, they will take all of that information that they have and hand over to law enforcement agencies, including the whistleblower himself. He needs to ask for protection from law enforcement agencies of this country.
Well, Sizwe Pamela, let's just run through a couple of the questions that they got. These 13 implicated officials, why were their suspensions lifted and why they're back at work?
We have a Department of Social Development. We don't run as the Office of the Premier, the department. The Premier, as a political principal, is not responsible for human resource issues. Anyone who's curious about what has happened at the Department of Social Development can write a media inquiry, send it to the department, and the department will attend to that media inquiry.
Premier Lesofie was provided with these reports. The allegation is that he didn't act on them?
Like I'm saying that there are internal processes. The department has acted based on what has transpired. Anyone who is curious about what happened, they can go to the department, raise these questions, and the department will attend to them.
Is it a conflict of interest with Panyaza Lesofie and these 13 individuals?
Say that again?
Is there a conflict of interest between Panyaza Lesofie and these 13 individuals?
I have no idea who are these 13 individuals. You seem to have more information than I do.
You don't
know.
Is
that, yes, all I know is that this is a matter that can properly be addressed by the Department of Social Development.
Sizwe Pamela, while I have you, your comments about these young children that you say you're visiting the families of, what's your view, the current status on that?
Well, look, we are here, the Premier and the MEC are here to pay their respects to the families. As I'm talking to you now, they are visiting the families and engaging with them. This is a tragedy. That's all we can say, is that this is a tragedy. This is something that should not be happening, and this is an issue that needs an intervention. And as we are visiting these families, we are also going to be having a sit-down with SAPS. From here, we're going to be sitting down with the local police station that is going to be giving the latest developments in terms of their investigation. And we do trust SAPS, and we do not want to interfere in the work that they are doing. We're going to allow them space, as and when they have information, they will update the Premier. But we are hoping that the perpetrators will be dealt with after the investigations have been completed, if anyone is responsible for this.
We spoke to Action SA earlier down in eThekwini. They are calling for an audit of who owns these spaza shops. What is the Premier doing about managing the ownership, the leasing, and people working at these shops?
Well, guided by the laws of South Africa already, that is something that has already happened. I mean, the Department of Home Affairs made it very clear that it is prepared to take the lead in working with all various provinces to audit the spaza shop. It's something that we've been saying for a long time, to say what we can't have is a situation where people who sell food to our communities are not accountable and cannot be accounted for, and they are not registered. Anyone who wants to run a business, they've got to go through the right doors. But as things stand right now, we want the people to give the police a space to do a proper investigations, but we also want to ensure that whatever decisions that are going to be taken going forward are going to be within the framework of the law.
And Sizwe, we're going to play a soundbite from Fikile Mbalula, ANC Secretary General, a little bit later on. He's talking about the working committee meeting outcomes yesterday. There were these reports that it seems as if have been denied that the Premier was called to meet the ANC at the main office yesterday. What's your views?
Well, I'm here as a spokesperson of the Premier and only focusing on government-related matters. For any inquiry that is ANC-related, I will propose that you direct it to the Provincial Office of the ANC.
Caesar Pamela is Gauteng Premier's spokesperson. It's 27 minutes past 4. Thank you.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
It's a lot to digest in that 10 minutes. What do you make of all of that? Give us a call, 086 000 2032, and you can send us a voice note as well, 0614 104 107. Let's go back to the beginning of the show. We were talking about Action SA in KwaZulu-Natal, calling for an audit of spaza shops in eThekwini.
John and SFM listeners. You see, John, this thing of Action SA grandstanding on tragedies, it's very irritating. The issue here is not about a shop being owned by a foreigner or what, but the issue is it's a tragedy. 3 kids died when they ate the top score porridge. Isn't that a tragedy? When people died of listeriosis after eating polonies, wasn't that a tragedy? So Action SA must stop grandstanding with a tragedy. That's my take. Thanks.
You know, sometimes we need somebody who can assist us as South Africans that you are running spaza shop, because we have a big problem and there's no one who's assisting us to help us on this situation. Foreigners are busy exploiting us as a South African that are running spaza shop here in South Africa. For example, the foreign business person blocked the bakery to come to my spaza shop to deliver the bread. That's a problem that we have. And if they come to your area, they make sure that they decrease the prices so that all your customers can move from you to them.
We're going to bring up that topic again at 5:10. I'm due to speak to Mafike Mdebele, who's the ANC KwaZulu-Natal spokesperson. Remember, one of the accusations from Action SA is that the ANC were not in favor of their proposals that they've put to the committee, and we will talk to the ANC KwaZulu-Natal spokesperson about what they are doing about the spaza shops in eThekwini specifically. And then directly after that, we will hear Fikile Mbalula. He had a press conference earlier today about the outcomes of the ANC's National Working Committee meeting that was held yesterday. We'll play you some of those sound bites that he spoke about. After news headlines, sport, traffic and business, we're going to find out about South Africa's next entrepreneur of the year. Madupi has your headlines at 4:30.
Thank you very much, John, and a very good afternoon. In your headlines, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says the country will continue to pursue a mix of energy sources. National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza has confirmed receipt of John Hlophe's letter of resignation from the Judicial Service Commission, and China has announced new restrictions on European brandy imports days after EU countries approved steep tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. And those are your headlines. Greg has your full update, 5 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the M1 southbound in central Johannesburg has a crash reported near Crown Interchange. The R21 southbound in Kempton Park is queuing towards the R25 Babsfontein Road exit, and Main Road in Bryanston has a crash reported near Curzon Road. In KZN, the N3 eastbound in Ashburton has a stationary track reported after Market Road exit. The N2 southbound is slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction, and the M7 has a truck crash reported near Recreation Road. In Cape Town, Batencrag Street outbound slow moving towards the elevated freeway. Victoria Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock. Main Road is slow moving through the Cork Bay St James area, and on 35th Avenue, protesting reported between Francie van Zyl Drive and Balvenie Road, so expect delays and diversions. With your traffic update, I'm Irma Jean.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Tumi doesn't tell me what she's going to lead with, so let me guess. You see, there's Bafana, but there's also women playing cricket. Let's look it up. Bafana.
No.
Oh.
We're starting off with rugby. Where the Bulls named over a dozen capped Springboks in a 34-player squad for the 3-match URC tour, which gets underway with a clash against Ospreys on Saturday. The only notable absentee is Springbok flank Marco van Staden, who misses out after playing the full 80 minutes in the 47-21 victory over Ulster, which saw the Bulls claim successive wins to start their campaign. There are 13 Springboks in total in the squad, with co-captains Alrik Lowe and Ruan Norkia leading a strong contingent that also includes props Wilco Lowe and Gerhard Steenkamp, hookers Akker van der Merwe, Johan Grobler and Jan-Hendrik Wessels, and loose forward Marcel Coetzee. Now moving on to football and Bafana news, John. Bafana head coach Hugo Bruce has played down their internal strife at the Congolese Football Association and says that it will not affect how the team prepares for its next Africa Cup of Nations qualifier. Reports emerged that Congo last week that Feco Foot was in trouble. A Congo-Brazzaville squad was yet to be announced. This came after the government, through military forces, removed Feco Foot staff from offices. Now, with the first game against Bafana set to be on Friday in Gqeberha, there have been concerns about Congo's state of readiness, but Bruce says that they are minding their own business.
Congo is more, if I can say, a technical team. It's not that powerful team that plays power football. They try to play football. So this is a little bit different than our previous opponents. But that doesn't mean that they are bad. They are not a top team. Okay, they are, I don't know, 100 on the CAF list. If you see the last results, they were not really positive. But again, we don't have to underestimate an opponent like this. And it's very, very important that we are ready next Friday to start that game. And certainly not give them the feeling that, yeah, maybe it's possible here to get a point. So from the beginning, it's up to us to play our game. And if we can succeed that, if we again have the right mindset, then we can achieve that. But don't think that we have an opponent Friday of who we can say now already, wow, we have 3 points. No, that depends on our performance.
Meanwhile, the Carling knockout draw that was held today resulted in some thrilling matchups. Defending champions Stellenbosch FC are set to kick off their title defense against AmaZulu, the team that is currently without a coach. This is following the recent dismissal of their mentor Pablo Franco. Kaizer Chiefs face a challenging encounter against SuperSport United. Orlando Pirates will host the newly promoted Magesi. Mamelodi Sundowns will host Golden Arrows, with both teams featuring new management on their benches. In the meantime, Manchester United have not approached Thomas Tuchel as yet. This is amid growing concerns around Erik ten Hag. It is said that Tuchel, who left his role as Bayern Munich manager at the end of last season, is heavily admired by United officials. Ten Hag, as is usual during the international break, along with players not representing their countries, have taken a few days off to recharge and is expecting to still be in charge at Old Trafford at the end of the international break. However, there's word that says today Manchester United held their executive summit, and basically in that meeting they're going to discuss if Erik ten Hag should stay on or not, and should he not stay in, his assistant Ruud van Nistelrooy could be favoured as the one to step in his shoes in the meantime. It'll be interesting to see if he's going to stay at the helm of the Red Devils or not. You don't care about Manchester United, do you?
No, as long as Everton beat them, I'm fine.
You're an Everton fan.
And Chelsea. And, well, it's like you're either a Manchester United fan or you're a fan of everybody else against Manchester United. I'm the latter. As long as you beat United, I'm okay. You're okay, my boy.
What did Manchester United ever do to you?
No, it's like because everybody's a United fan. So
Not everyone.
Well, you're either a Liverpool or Everton fan. I mean, or a Manchester United fan. Like, that was the thing when I was growing up.
Or
Was
Arsenal.
It was like Arsenal weren't even in the league like when I was growing up.
Yeah.
It was United and Liverpool. Those were the two. You were one or the other.
True.
So I found Everton, and to my disgust, I've had to support Everton from now on. They're out of relegation. It's like the greatest thing ever. See, little thing.
Manchester United on the other hand. But moving on to cricket, South African captain Laura Fulvard says that they'll be looking to fix up in the field when they face Scotland tomorrow in the Women's World Cup. The Proteas women dropped 5 catches in their 7-wicket defeat to England yesterday. And now they return to Dubai, where they claimed their first win, hoping to bounce back against a Scotland side who are winless in 2 matches. South Africa third in the group with 2 points after 2 games, and hopefully they can bounce back to winning ways tomorrow. On that note, it's a wrap from my side for now. I'll have more in the next hour.
Okay, Timmy, more sport coming up later on. We got finance now. Let's do that.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
Andile, the CEO of a multinational corporation, is driving home with his daughter.
Dad, why is the tooth fairy so stingy?
Stingy? Well, she makes sure everyone gets something.
Does everyone at your company get something?
Yes, they're covered by Old Mutual Corporate's employee benefits.
Even Abdul.
Of course, he gets retirement benefits.
And Sisampo on that big machine.
She gets group risk cover if that big machine hurts her.
Wow, that's amazing, Dad.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
The Leopards and Taifa Stars have a big battle in the top of the table clash. DRC is only interested in 3 points to maintain their winning rhythm, while the East Africans also want victory to sustain their unbeaten run in Group H. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, DR Congo versus Tanzania on Thursday, 10 October at 6 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Makwe Masalela, Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. What's happening in the markets today, Makwe?
Not too good, John. An afternoon to you and to the listeners. John, the U.S. earnings season kicking off this week will be a test for a stock market which is near record highs and trading at lofty valuations. And remember, bank results offer an important view into the economy, including the strength of demand for loans and a shallower path of cuts from the Fed, coupled with strong data and the prospect of a no-lending scenario, has helped to support the U.S. dollar and unfortunately working against the rand. And while confidence about another 50 basis point cut is dampened, rate cut cycle is far from being derailed, and market participants are reassessing the path of U.S. interest rates, as well as the Middle East conflict and regional economic weaknesses. And China's economic planning agency disappointed markets by announcing a lesser than expected spending from next year. Basically, there was no further stimulus announced from the long-awaited fiscal stimulus announcement, and that's after previous week monetary stimulus announcement. But the guys said they are fully confident to achieve their full-year economic growth target. And oil prices taking a breather as traders wait for Israel's response to last week's Iranian rocket attack. Remember, that prompted a price surge on concerns of a broader conflict in the Middle East. Remember, last week oil prices were up almost 8%, and that was the biggest weekly gain in over a year. And that was on concerns that hostilities could disrupt oil supplies from the Middle East. And the decline so far has shown that a rise above $80 to $82 per barrel will encounter resistance because demand uncertainties over supply permutations cannot be shaken off that easily. And we see Brent crude is down 4% at $77 a barrel, and the yellow metal down for a 5th session in a row. And from recent strong U.S. economic data, though safe haven demand coming from tensions in the Middle East limited the drop, We see gold is down 0.2% at 2,635, but platinum is down almost 2% at 956. And John, the markets are mixed, with the JSE recouping some of the earlier losses, now down 0.9%, dragged down by our resources. Remember, we opened this morning down 1.6%, and unfortunately the rand is weakened just over 1% among major peers. Against the US dollar now is trading at 17.54, 22.99 against the pound, and 19.26 against the euro.
Makwe Masalela, thank you very much. Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers. More business coming up in an hour. We'll look ahead to the MoneyWeb market update.
Across South Africa, online and on radio. SAFM, let's talk. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
Let's take some phone calls and voice notes. Before we do that, let's run through tweets and an SMS or two. One tweet in my conversation with AfriForum and Barry Bateman. Rutendo RSA is my country, says Footsec AfriForum. And on, where's my Twitters? Where's my SMSs? My SMSs? Oh, there it is. It says, Lesotho have pressed the racist nerves. They will come for him with full force as they are doing with Malema. And another one saying, it's sickening that the likes of AfriForum only go after Africans. I don't remember for once going after a white person, example Marcus Jooste. And somebody else wants me to organize an interview with ICASA regarding StarSat Digital TV's unavailability of the signal for the past 15 days. Michael and Popo, they've shut down. They had their servers taken out by ICASA. But yeah, we can look into that. Let's take a couple of voice notes. We're going to calls first, I think. Let's see what we got. Is it Alfred in Mpumalanga? You want to talk about spaza shops, Alfred?
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
How's it?
Lekker, thanks. Go ahead.
Sure. No, man. Let us speak of the Middle East.
It says here you want to talk about spaza shops.
I said I want to talk about
spaza shops.
Oh, spaza shops. Yeah, correct.
Okay, go ahead.
You see, on the question of spaza shops, usually I grew up in the area of Wandevele some time ago. You see, governmentally, we used to have the department of, it was called Wandevele Economic Development.
Mm-hmm.
Which ultimately it was sponsoring or funding the business ideas just such as spaza shops, you see. So I'm trying to say, if ever it was still the government of Kandebele, it means there will be it was going to be no time to have the businesses being run by foreigners, because you are having the department or the government that is responsible for their own people. So now that these things are happening, it simply tells you that we are having a government that is not thinking for their own people. It's for that reason foreigners will take all the spaza shops like it is now. And according to me, if it was me, these spaza shops, whether they are legal or illegally, I'm saying it's thoroughly out of order.
All right.
Because you don't need a skill. It's not an exceptional skill to run a spaza shop. Yes.
Alfred,
so it can't be tolerated.
Alfred in Mpumalanga, thank you very much. Spaza shops can't be tolerated. Let's go to Vuyiswa in Parktown North. Hello, Vuyiswa. It looks like rain. What do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about the Ethiopian conflict.
Yes.
Yes. John, once upon a time, I was 2 years old or 3, I remember, in Soweto. And there was all of a sudden in the morning, the neighborhood woke up, including my parents and my grandparents. There was a woman sitting there wearing white clothes with a baby, like a 6-month-old baby. And then she narrated the story that a lot of them have fled. They went to different parts. I remember people in Soweto putting together some groceries, some meal, to give her and clothes. She was from Ethiopia. I've grown up to go to exile and come back, and now these people are still fighting. And they take pride of saying that they were not colonized. You must see how they treat African people that work for them. These are people that are in conflict for, I think maybe even before my mother was born. They've been in conflict, but they take pride of not being colonized. That problem you find in Somalia, and Somalians are blaming Ethiopians for the conflict that is happening in Somalia, because it's a clan thing, it's a tribal thing that they are failing to solve. But they will tell you that they can lead Africa, Ethiopia can do this and this. You hear your hailers coming into the national radio saying they can lead. Why can't they go home and solve this problem? Because I've been to Ethiopia, and there are people that I know, John, that are suffering in some regions. And there are people that you will never see on the screen, especially those who are like us, African, like the Bantu tribes. Because Ethiopians, to tell the fact, this whole Horn of Africa, they don't belong to the Bantu. That's why when they come here, they do worse things with Somalians and them, and claim to be Africans. But there is a problem, internal problem that needs to be solved.
They are Africans, though. It's
no, according to you, but according to me,
you don't feel that if you're born,
they don't subscribe to the Bantu. Bantu values.
That doesn't mean they're not African.
If you talk to them about Ubuntu, they don't know.
Yeah,
they don't have it.
Two different, but they're still African, right? They're born on the continent.
You can be still African, John. I believe, but if I go to China today, now with my children, I stayed there for 400 years. I'll never be Chinese. I don't qualify historical, biological.
All right, we get digressed. The point that you're trying to make is that the Ethiopians have been fighting amongst themselves, as my Professor Muchi said earlier when my guest, and that needs to stop.
I'm telling you my memory going back to when I was 3 years old.
When you were 2 or 3 years old. But that was only like 15 years ago, wasn't it? Eh? You're still a young lady.
No, plus minus.
Vuyiswa, thank you very much.
Before jumping even.
Vuyiswa in Parktown North, thank you very much. That conflict in Ethiopia, it's been ongoing, and then they've been hit by all the, it was the famine in the 80s, wasn't it? It's just, what is going on up there? It's an ongoing conversation. Let's take an ad break, and then we're going to move on to a positive story. 600 entrants, 16 business leaders in the running for Entrepreneur of the Year. We'll talk about that.
Mubango returns for an explosive new season on SABC2. A renaissance of new beginnings, intrigue, and drama with old enemies and new characters. Catch the rebirth season of Mubango every Monday to Friday at 9 p.m. on SABC2 or stream it on SABC Plus. Mubango, ukovela panda. SABC2.
The University of Johannesburg ladies plan to conquer the morning and secure a crucial 3 points for breakfast. But Richmond United believe it is about time for them to rub shoulders with teams in the top half. This is the Hollywood Bet Super League. Witness the Mzansi Queens of the beautiful game. UJ Ladies FC versus Richmond United Ladies FC on Saturday, 12 October at 9 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
You're listening to the National Pulse on SAFM.
After months of preparation and rigorous evaluation of 600 entrants, 16 business leaders in the running for the title of SA's Entrepreneur of the Year. It's an impressive mix of business shortlisted from Legends Barber to digital communications agency Retroviral and a space component manufacturing company. Wow. Joined on the line by David Morobe, as Executive General Manager for Impact Investing at Business Partners Limited. Let's find out a little bit more about this competition. David, thank you very much for joining us. How do you get a shortlist from 600 down to 16 and so varied? What is the criteria here?
Look, it's a very tough call, John, because most of these entrepreneurs are very tenacious business owners who'd like to get the prize. So we go first through a screening process, and then we asked them to send more information, which is financials, so that it becomes very critical for us to assess whether that business is sustainable and can stand the test of time. And thereafter, we have external independent judges who look at the finalist and the final from which the 16 entrepreneurs were selected. There was about 70 of them that they had to go through to get to the final 16.
The one thing before we go into the different categories is you said just how tenacious these young entrepreneurs are having to be.
Look, I think it's just proving their mettle in a very challenging environment. I think we all know that most of our entrepreneurs had to survive immense challenges. Some of those include crime, dysfunctional infrastructure in some of the local authorities, regulatory burdens that they might be facing. And in spite of all of these challenges, they have thrived. And notwithstanding the recent COVID and floods, they have shown to be tenacious, they have shown to be resilient. And these are the things that we are looking for, even as they outline their journey of how they've sustained, especially those that have been around for more than a couple of years, that is.
Yeah, the conditions, and I mean, we're talking about it all the time when we talk about job creation and we need entrepreneurial spirit. Are young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs, don't have to be young, are new entrepreneurs getting the support they need? There's always talk about tax breaks and red tape. Is that changing?
Look, I mean, there are efforts in place to provide some kind of technical assistance to entrepreneurs as they enter into this challenging environment. But with the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, we're looking to those that have shown their capacity to withstand challenges. So while we say they're emerging, they usually are about 2, 3, 4 years old.
Right.
But when you get to small, these are businesses that have been around for some time, maybe between 5 and sometimes even up to 10 years. And then when you get to the medium-sized categories, you can see even with their track record in terms of the financials that they can give at play, that they've been around for some time, usually also beyond 5 years, but their turnovers are above 50 million plus.
Oh, they're doing all right, eh? I realized, and the reason I'm going to ask you about this is because you're part of investing. What is the current funding for an entrepreneur like? How many hoops is it? Or let me rephrase the question. Is it relatively easy to get funding, or is it still such a big challenge?
Look, I think it takes two parties, both the entrepreneur by outlining the purpose of the funding for which they require and what is it that they can give in return for the funding, and whether the business will be able to afford the repayment or that are due for a loan. So there's a lot of money chasing good entrepreneurs. And to the extent that we can get our entrepreneurs to match the requirements of the funders, I think we can see the SME ecosystem growing better and more entrepreneurs receiving funding. Why we have competitions such as the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards is to showcase that entrepreneurship can thrive. These are people who live for ways of changing their communities, who will drive and shape innovation and contribute to economic growth, and funders are looking for such people. When we showcase them, I think that ecosystem can have a better result to respond to your question of whether funding is better than it was.
Yeah, what I love about these entrepreneurs, and maybe it's how the awards have done it, is you're always told get into IT, start an IT company, or get into marketing. These are such different types of industries. I'm just looking at emerging entrepreneur, from a consulting firm to patio manufacturing to a tutoring service. Was that done on purpose, do you think?
No, it's not on purpose. It's what comes through from the entries that we have received. And it showcases that entrepreneurship can live in any environment. People can turn an education challenge and solve the problem that society is facing by providing a solution of some kind and making a profit thereby. So you can see from the variety of sectors that our finalists come from that, yes, you can have entrepreneurs in any sphere whatsoever.
Some tips and advice, David Murobe, for somebody, now you've looked through all these entrants, these 600 entrants. What makes a good entrepreneur, first of all, besides the resilience? What else do you need? Because that goes without saying. And then how do you make a successful business?
Look, what we're looking for through the awards, we're looking for entrepreneurial ability. So that's the ability.
Entrepreneurial ability.
Entrepreneurial ability.
Okay.
Entrepreneurial ability is the way how you identify opportunities, your dedication and desire, drive and energy, and perseverance were required. Then we look at the business model, which will look at the product and services that you offer, your technical prowess. How do you take it and make it competitive in a market where there would be competitors invariably? We look at your management skills and organizational structure. How do you plan to take it from start to a point where you are a competitor? I mean, the previous winner for last year, that is Batu Shoes, started a company where he was going to sell shoes and compete with the big brands. So this is what these entrepreneurs are showcasing. We also look at the financials, obviously, because that's where you can see the sustainability of the business. Does it grow, the owner's equity? Is there growth in profits? And then we look at what do you do additional to just running your business? Are you a good corporate citizen? Are you looking at an environment where you are operating and helping others who are less better disposed than what you are as an entrepreneur? These are the elements that we look at in trying to identify good entrepreneurs.
Well, that last bit is interesting. It's not like the old days when an entrepreneur goes out, makes millions and millions, sells their product and goes and retires. There's a whole lot of community involvement that needs to happen as well.
Indeed, we are living in times where, with the sustainable goals, the UN sustainable goals, we need entrepreneurs to be conscious of what's happening around them, the people whom, where they operate, the other challenges for learners, is the way of assisting those people that make your business thrive. And that's why we look at good corporate citizenship as well.
Have you got a favorite, David? Of the 16 finalists, is there somebody you think like this one might
I've come to a stage where I never have a favorite. I like entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs are my favorites.
It's interesting, and I look at these, and these are lovely companies. The small business entrepreneur turnover 30 million rand, medium business 30 million rand. Those are very successful businesses. What advice do you have for somebody that's they just want to make enough money so that they can get some food and live a good life?
There's room for all of us in the marketplace. There are what we call lifestyle SMEs that will give you just enough to make it, as anyone who's working to pay for your bills and take your kids to school. And there are blue sky entrepreneurs who are looking to compete not only locally but even outside of our borders. These could be entrepreneurs that could be the next what's this fellow Elon Musk of this world.
Maybe the business side of him, personality maybe not so much, but yeah, I get it. David, good chatting to you. Enjoy the awards ceremony. I look forward to finding out who those winners are.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope you will join us.
David Murobe, Executive General Manager for Impact Investing at Business Partners Limited. That award ceremony will be happening on Thursday, the 7th of November in Johannesburg. There also a prize pool of $2 million, which isn't too bad. Access to mentorship and technical assistance, opportunities to expand networks, and greater visibility for their business. There's a couple here that you'll recognize, ones that you might know. And there's other ones that you don't, but I guess they're doing business to business. Very different to you and I knowing about it. You're with SAFM for Colin at 5:10. We will be talking a little bit more about Action SA's plan to audit foreign-owned spaza shops in eThekwini. And at about 10 to 6, we will be talking about the ESCOM Expo International Science Fair. I see some Nobel Prizes were handed out today as well for physics. See if I can try to understand that. I'm also going to touch a little bit on this hurricane that's hurtling towards Florida in the States. Now, though, 5 o'clock, it's time for the news.
Thank you, John. SA not giving up on coal just yet, and China announces restrictions on brandy imports. Good day to you. The Minister of Minerals and Petroleum Resources, Gwede Mantashe, says the country will continue to pursue a mix of energy sources. He was speaking at the Africa Oil Week in Cape Town.
Ideologies in the government were clear that energy is the flywheel that will propel South Africa to realize these priorities. As we continue to pursue security of energy supply and address energy poverty, diversified energy mix remains a requisite for our nation to meet the growing energy demands. We have not been converted fully to this thing of saying we'll move from coal to renewables. We are very committed to a mixture of energy sources.
The ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says the party has accepted the explanation from the ANC Gauteng chairperson, Panyaza Lesufi, on his utterances about the government of national unity. Lesufi was summoned to the ANC headquarters in Johannesburg for remarks he's made publicly on the GNU. Mbalula's of the view that utterances made by Lesufi on the GNU are not in line with those of national leadership. He briefed the media at Latuli House.
His explanation from where he come from, that he was distorted, from podcasts he attended and the utterances he has made in public, he clarified himself to those issues. And we don't doubt his bona fides to this extent. So we have accepted his explanation, but we have the responsibility as the ANC that discipline and democratic centralism run supreme.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, Toko Tadiso, has confirmed receipt of John Hlophe's letter of resignation from the JSC. The MK party leader in Parliament served the resignation letter yesterday, just days after the Western Cape High Court interdicted him from taking part in the process of interviewing prospective judges. Abongwe Kopokana reports.
Didiza says she has informed Chief Justice Mandi Samaya on Hlophe's resignation from the JSC. She says in line with the rules of Parliament, the National Assembly will now designate another MP to serve on the JSC. Hlophe was impeached for gross misconduct in March this year. It was Parliament who voted to impeach him. Last week, the JSC denied a request from the MK party to postpone this week's interviews pending the outcome of a case on Hlophe's designation to the JSC.
The case of two men accused of killing a schoolteacher in Dealsville in the Free State has been postponed to next week for further investigations. The two accused have been remanded in custody. The Speaker of the Tokoloko local municipality, Matei Gaibaye, says they've engaged the Free State Public Safety MEC Jabu Mbalula for intervention in terms of police capacity.
Tadeja, we visited the police station where we have raised issues of lack of response to whatever crime that has happened, but we have also requested him to assist in the space of providing vehicles that will also go around, because as we see that the municipality, the area that we are talking from now is a very vast space where we are saying for you to reach a farm that is almost 50 kilometers, in the radius of 50 kilometers, it needs vehicles that is suitable like your SUVs to go to the area.
Workers and former workers of the government-owned bus company Great North Transport have taken to the streets in Polokwane and Limpopo. They've submitted a memorandum at the Office of the Premier. The workers accuse the entity of failing to pay workers' pension payouts. The management apparently didn't pay the pension administrators, but instead used it for daily operations. The entity and the Economic Development Department are yet to comment. Some of the workers and widowers, Steve Mokwena and Florent Bloy, have threatened to sleep outside the offices of the Premier until their plight is heard.
My husband worked. He got sick and died. When we tried to claim, we were told the money is not there. My husband worked to death and now his children are in hunger.
I started to work at Great North Transport as a bus inspector. Almost 40 years. At home, children can no longer go to tertiary. Children are really struggling.
China's announced new restrictions on European brandy imports days after EU countries approved steep tariffs on Chinese-made electric cars. The BBC's Jonathan Josephs has more.
This is shaping up to be the biggest row in years between two of the world's leading trade blocs as they vie to control an important new technology. Last week, EU member states voted to push ahead with tariffs on electric vehicles from China. They're unhappy about what they say is excessive government support for what is now a world-leading industry. Now, China has pushed back with its own taxes on European brandy.
The top story, the Minister of Minerals and Petroleum Resources says the country will continue to pursue a mix of energy sources. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Coase.
In sports, the Sawa Banyana squad named for international friendlies and COSAFA championships, and Djokovic and Shanghai Masters lost 16. More details at 5:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N3 northbound in Bedfordview has a crash near Van Buren Road. Golden Highway southbound in Dipkloof is queuing towards Main Road. The N1 northbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Samrand Road, and Main Road in Bryanston has a crash reported near Curzon Road. In KZN, the N2 southbound, a stationary vehicle after the M7 highway, the N2 southbound slow moving towards Spaghetti Junction, and the M7 has a truck crash reported near Recreation Road. In Cape Town, the M3 southbound slow moving towards Rhodes Drive, the M5 southbound is slow moving towards Racecourse Road, the N2 Nelson Mandela Boulevard outbound queuing towards Hospital Bend, the N7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound queuing towards Voortrekker Road, and the N1 outbound slow moving towards Okavango Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.2 FM in Thohoyandou.
The National Pulse, weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Jon Gericke in for Ashraf. Ashraf's back again tomorrow. It's 8 minutes past 5. Tumi and I are just talking now while the news was on and she's doing her headlines about this hurricane that is going towards the States. It's angling towards Tampa, Florida. A big city, huge city in Tampa. But it's what's kind of being forgotten is it's just hanging around north of Mexico at the moment. So Mexico is currently experiencing some rain, quite a lot of rain, and not massive gusts. On the coast, there's a bit of a wind. But this hurricane currently winds of in the eye, or just outside the eye, of 117 kilometers per hour. And people are being asked to evacuate Florida. There's sea surges of 15 feet. What's that? 2 stories, 15 feet. It's a story and a half higher water coming from the sea. This is huge. It should hit land, weather services are predicting, by Wednesday. But yeah, it's a huge storm. And Florida's still recovering from a hurricane that had just hit them, a couple of weeks ago. And then there's this new one coming by Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's a big global story, that one. Coming up, we're going to hear from Fikile Mbalula. He had a press conference earlier today communicating the outcomes of the ANC's National Working Committee. A number of issues that we will be hearing from, including Panyaza Lesufi that was called to the head offices, a question on who will the ANC field as a mayoral candidate in Tshwane, all of that and more coming up later on in the show. But let's start with this. I spoke to Action SA eThekwini Councillor Zwakele Nkwangu about the party's plans to audit foreign-owned spaza shops in eThekwini. We're going to get a little bit more from an ANC KwaZulu-Natal spokesperson because they were criticized quite heavily by Action SA. So that's coming up next.
Those who love the game say chess is the gymnasium of the mind. The world's top chess players will showcase exciting fast chess played among 6 teams in search of the ticket to the ultimate glory. This is the 2nd season of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League. Catch the Global Chess League 2024 action from 3 to 12 October, live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
The Stallions get it, that the only way to remain on top of Group L is through a win. However, the Swallows refuse to be left behind. They target a 2nd victory to move away from the 3rd position. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, Burkina Faso versus Burundi on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
It's 11 minutes past 5. Earlier on, I spoke to Action SA eThekwini Councillor Zwakele Nkwangu about the party's plan to audit foreign-owned spaza shops in eThekwini. From the conversation, not all parties in the region are in support of the plan to audit the foreign-owned spaza shops. In fact, Zwakele Nkwangu says the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has rejected the recommendation to do the investigation. Let's talk to ANC spokesperson in that province, Mafika Ndebele. Mafika, thank you very much for joining us. Is the ANC against an audit of who owns spaza shops in eThekwini?
Thank you very much, and evening to your good self and your listeners. Look, it's quite perplexing and misleading for Mr. Mwangu to go and run with our program and then project it as if it is his own program.
Your program?
The program of empowering our people that who are running spaza shop and basically localizing our economy. Let me give you a bit of a background. You will understand that one of the key priorities of the ANC manifesto was to sort out the issue of economy, and we specifically singled out the localization of the economy and the empowerment of small and medium enterprise. Beyond the manifesto, you will be aware that in my other capacity as a portfolio chair of economic development in the provincial legislature, I've been running or continuing with the program of the sixth administration that was speaking about empowering local tax shop. And I can tell you, in the next annual oversight plan of the legislature, which will be adopted on Thursday, there is also an oversight. But specifically on the issue of eThekwini, on the 15th of August this year, the Department of Economic Development and Planning Committee, which is led by Mr. Thembo Ntuli, tabulated a report in the municipality. The report of assisting local spaza shops which are run by South Africans and then empowering them, and then at the same time ensuring that foreigners who are running these shops are people with proper documents. When that report was tabulated, Action SA wanted to augment that report, basically saying before you augment that, there must be some process of going and auditing spaza shop.
Yes.
And the ANC at eThekwini said no. If you already in the report, because we deal about empowerment and the document is very clear, which I can share with you, by the way, the document was very clear to say it will empower local people and regulate their ownership. Now this one, if they were delaying us with the auditing, which will then, after auditing, will then retabulate another motion, it will have delayed our people who need to be empowered mostly. I can tell you now, there are programs in place which are aimed at empowering our people. So I think Zanele Mngango knows very well that he's politicking, and it's quite a cheap politic.
Okay, so will you be auditing the spaza shops to find out if they are legally owned or not?
Definitely, the ANC has no problem with that. In fact, as I have said, in the next annual oversight plan, both the Department of Economic Development portfolio and the Department of Safety will start in Durban. We'll be visiting tax shop, but our main plan at this particular plan is to find out these local shops which are not owned by South Africans, whether those who own them, the proper permits, the proper documentation. Secondly, whether the food that they are selling is a food that has not expired and it's not contaminated food, and that is an ongoing work that we are doing. On top of that, there is a Zimele trading fund where we assist local tax shop owners with a voucher of about 20,000 rand. On top of that, we are working with different sectors to ensure that we train them, and we have called for our people to register their tax shops so that they benefit from this program.
Okay, let's focus on illegal ownership of stores. There are a number of reasons, and listeners, when I asked to open the lines, have given reasons. One is South Africans lease it out to people who are there legally. There's others who they're just coming in and illegally opening the stores. You mentioned the illegal products. There's grey cigarettes or even black market cigarettes that are being sold. One has to wonder why this has been allowed for so long.
Definitely. Look, this has been our greatest concern. Our view has consistently, even in the sixth administration, we started the program there. It's not a new program. By the way, I have been on a number of platforms where I was interviewed about this particular matter. It's not a new matter that Mwang want to then smuggle it.
Okay, so why is it still, if it's not new, why is it still happening?
No. You know why it's still happening, and that is why we have now made a call to our people. Our people, most of these tax shops, what we have discovered as government is that you find a tax shop named, for example, Sibego tax shop or whatever, black name, and it is on the property of a black person. But if you go there, you find out that the owner of that shop have long left to run that particular shop and rent it out to illegal foreigners. And we are following those particular instances as government. And we are not going to be able to succeed as a government unless if we form partnership with our people. That is why we have now made a call to our people that should you suspect that they are expired food, should you suspect that they are fake food that are being sold, should you suspect that they are shops around your area which are owned by illegal foreigners, be in contact with us so that we are able to run. Because remember, these things happen at local level, but I can tell you, year in, year out, there are raids that we run as government to ensure that we deal decisively with this matter. But it will not be an overnight struggle. It is something that will need all of us to work together, particularly with our local communities.
See, Mafika, you say that, and then Action SA comes up with this plan, and you say that they're politicking and they're using your program and blah, blah, blah. Could you have come on and said, yes, we agree with Action SA, there needs to be an audit, and we're on it. And by the end of this year or this time next year, if you talk to me, there will be no illegally owned spaza shops because we're all working together as a community.
My problem with the Action SA program, which, by the way, is quite good, is that they now want to repackage the old wine in the new bottle as if it's new. And that is where we have a problem. The second problem we have with Action SA is that you then go out and not say to people what were the technical areas where we differed in council, and then present as if we were rejecting a program that I can send you now a report from a portfolio committee. Remember, Zakele does not sit in an economic development committee. The report that was going to be tabulated, if I were to send it to you, you will see that it is an exactly same report with the same content. The only thing is that now you wanted to delay it by starting with the audit. Whereas our report mandated the head of economic development to then interact with our people so that our people benefit as in yesterday.
Mafika, one of the allegations, and many allegations when I open the lines as well, is that the police know about these illegally owned foreign shops or these illegal shops, doesn't matter who owns them, and they will go in and they'll get a couple of litres of Coke and they turn a blind eye. What will the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal be doing about that?
Look, you are quite correct. There are instances, and we must be quite clear on this. Not in every instance. There are instances where our people have told us that some law enforcement individuals are part of this. That is why, if you will remember what I said when I started this interview, I said on Thursday we will be adopting an annual oversight plan. And then I've also specifically mentioned that the Portfolio Committee of Economic Development and the Portfolio Committee of Safety will be working jointly. And when we perform this oversight, it means we will involve both the Department of Safety and the Department of Economic Development. And in instances where we identify these areas where police have been involved, where at times Metro Police, not even South African police, even if it's Metro Police, because we will also be involved in municipalities, we will act and act decisively, because all of us are indeed realizing, and we are all speaking in one voice, by the way. We are all agreeing that spaza shop, if I were to tell you about over 178 billion is circulated around spaza shop every year. So this is a key cornerstone of our economy.
Mafika Ndebele is the ANC KwaZulu-Natal spokesperson. Thank you very much. I look forward to talking to Mafika again in 6 months and see if there's been any change.
Health experts say that taking care of your baby starts the day you learn you have conceived. Changes should start immediately, from what you eat to how you take care of yourself. After you've delivered your baby, does the worry stop? No, it doesn't. From there, it's clinic visits, breastfeeding, introducing solids, and the list goes on. If you're a mom, father, or caregiver and are curious on how to support your kids' development to reach their full potential, or even concerned about the nutrition that strengthens their bodies, then our new SABC Education feature, Side by Side, is for you. Get all the advice you need from the Department of Health by tuning in every Wednesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. on The Full Circle on SAFM, starting in October. Tune into the feature and you could win 1,000 Rand with our monthly competition. Side by Side, brought to you by SABC Education on SAFM, leading the conversation.
After registering 4 points in their first 2 matches, the Mambas of Mars target a huge win to keep their top status in Group I. But Stangsem Negati want out of the bottom position. They believe not even the Mozambican heat will stop them from getting their first win. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the meeting between neighbors. Mozambique versus Eswatini on Friday 11 October at 3 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on TTT Channel 4. Also available everywhere for everyone. Always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
24 minutes past 5, ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula had a press conference earlier today communicating the outcomes the ANC's National Working Committee held yesterday. One of the issues that were asked, where reporters asked about the reports that Panyaza Lesufi was called to the ANC headquarters.
These distortions that somebody was called and to be disciplined, and he scored 2-0 to the SG, are basically a total distortion of the facts on the table. And Panyaza explained himself to the officials about the issues that we raised with him as the officials, and that was it. And his explanation from where he come from, that he was distorted from podcast he attended and the utterances he has made in public, he clarified himself to those issues. And we don't doubt his bona fides to this extent. So we have accepted his explanation, but we have the responsibility as the ANC that discipline and democratic centralism run supreme. Where somebody can just wake up and do things and to the detriment of the organization. And we did not have to second guess Panyaza. We needed to engage with him, not through the media and what he could have said in the media.
Mbalula addressed a question on who the ANC will field as a mayoral candidate in Tshwane.
We have names for the mayor. We're going to discuss now. When I'm done here, I'm meeting with Tshwane, and then I'm meeting also with Gauteng province. Meeting. I'm meeting them to finalize this. They will give me a report. We don't take decisions for structures. They bring decisions to the fore, we process them, discussing with them. We are not a dictatorship, we are not autocratic, we engage. But artificial and fake heroism, that our structures are independent from us, when it comes to decision making, they veer away from strategic approaches the organization is taking, are incorrect. And we will never allow such perceptions to be perpetuated because they are based on lies. You see, in Tshwane, We are discussing with our structures about what must happen. We're looking at all the risks. All the risks. There is no option in this coalition, governments that were in, that is without risks. Every option you take has got risk. Government of national unity, when we took that decision, it has got its own risks. Grand coalition, it has got its own risks. Opposition, it has got its own risks and all of that. So you don't just get into a decision and think that is smooth sailing and there are no risks. It's incorrect. Then such decisions can only be taken by people who suffer from inertia. Stop thinking. People who have stopped thinking and analyzing. They take decisions and they don't look at the risks. Every decision has got its own risks. We are meeting with our structures and we will decide today, Samkel, about if there is a mayor for the ANC and if we are fielding who and that's it. The entire package will be finalized today between us and our structures. And we've got a clear mandate from the NWC about what needs to happen in relation to these matters. So we will share with the comrades when we meet with them this afternoon.
Speaking of Tshwane, Mbalula says there's no agreement between the ANC and the DA in Tshwane.
Tshwane. Do we work with the DA? In our statement, we have made it very clear that we are engaging with all political parties to constitute government in Tshwane. We have engaged with the DA in relation to what must happen in Tshwane, and that there is no agreement between us and the DA about what must happen in Tshwane at the present moment as I speak to you. So, peddling of misinformation that we have a deal, there's no such.
And Mbalula says they know there will be more ANC members joining the MK party.
Defection to MK. There's going to be a lot of people who are in the ANC who maybe every day, 2 days after 2 days, who are going to be told they've defected. But we know they've long left. They've not been with us. They've decided to take a decision to work for Jacob Zuma, not for the ANC. They've taken that decision to work for Jacob Zuma. So they've decided, some of them, that they will wait. Some of them, we see them daily living. Why you will be a person with impeccable credentials, leave the ANC at the age of 8 years? For what? To go where? And then you are promised by Jacob Zuma that he can get a new ANC within a very short space of time out of MK Zuma party and all of that. And then you want all of us to believe that there is no agenda. No, we are aware this defection to Jacob Zuma is staggered and well planned. All what we are looking at is that how long will it take, because they are recruiting inside the ANC, among others. But some of them have long made up their mind. They've long been with Zuma. You see them in social media. They promote MK party. The biggest sinners, according to them, is us, the ANC elected at Nazareth. They are the right revolutionaries, superheroes who decided to form a party to kill a party of revolution because they are fighting for whatever that they are fighting for. So that position they've taken to form a party with Jacob Zuma, according to them, is the most revolutionary idea that they are implementing.
ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula earlier today talking about the ANC's National Working Committee meeting that was held yesterday. Irma G as traffic, to me as your sport. Let's get news headlines with Greg Hoos.
Thank you again, John. A quick look at the headlines. The Mineral Resources and Energy Minister says government is discussing ways of reducing administered costs in an effort to alleviate the cost of living. The spokesperson for the Gauteng Education Department says they're offering counselling support to the families and schools affected by the food poisoning incident. And Mozambicans are eagerly awaiting to cast their ballots tomorrow. There's a full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Golden Highway southbound in Diepkloof is queuing towards Main Road, the N1 northbound in Midrand, slow moving towards Samrand Road in Germiston, the M2 eastbound queuing towards Refinery Road, and the N3 southbound queuing towards Geldenhuys Interchange. In Bedfordview, the N3 northbound queuing towards Van Buren Road, and the N12 R24 westbound queuing on both routes towards Giluli's Interchange. In KZN, the M7 eastbound queuing towards Bluff Road, the N2 southbound has a stationary vehicle after the M7 highway. The M4 southbound is slow moving towards Bayhead Road Bridge, and the N3 westbound has a crash after the Umlaas Road exit. In Cape Town, Strandfontein Road southbound slow moving towards Spine Road. Main Road is queuing entering the central Muizenberg area. The N1 in Brackenfell has a crash reported at Old Oak Road. Lesberg Parkway southbound slow moving towards the N2 highway, and Victoria Road outbound slow moving through Woodstock. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Kapele.
Tumi,
Yes.
how fast do you run 5Ks?
When,
Still, you're not telling
story
me.
for
huh?
another day.
And you haven't even told me off air.
Story for another day.
No, but
John.
I'm not here another day. She has Ashraf
It's
tomorrow.
right now. Remember what you said earlier on.
Don't ask.
Is it the same as
Yes.
you asking me for my age? You just asked me for my age in that question.
Okay, so you see, because I was going to try and sneaky and work out your age category and then look for a park run.
Nah,
No,
dog.
nothing.
No.
Yeah, I was
Just
so...
know that I'm able to finish a 5K.
Am I faster than you?
How fast are you again?
33 minutes.
5K.
Yeah.
Like, why would you want to do this to me?
Am I faster than you or slower than you?
Do I look like a fast or a slow run?
What's happening in the sport?
John, I can't believe you. You know what? I'm glad that today's your last show. Jokes. I'm going to miss you. All right then. Banyana coach Desiree Ellis has named her 23-woman squad to face England and Denmark in international friendlies this month. The team sees one omission, which is very key. Jermaine Sioposengwe, and the games will be part of the African Champions preparations for next year's Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. However, there's been questions around Mamelodi Sundowns keeper Andile Dlamini, why she's always included in the team, even though she doesn't have a lot of game time, and this is what Coach Ellis said.
When we called Andile up to the World Cup, right, we had made a decision that we were going to play Kaylin, right? Andile didn't get a lot of game time, but we needed the experience. Likewise now, again, we need the experience. And that's why I've called up Andile. It's a juggling act where when Andile didn't play at the World Cup, there were a lot of questions, but what people forget that she also didn't have game time. And nobody brought that up at the time, that she didn't have regular game time. But we do need the experience. We're not going to play Mickey Mouse teams here. We're going to play England, who's number 2 in the world. We're going to play Denmark, who's number 12 in the world. So you need your experience and you need your best available players. And that is the reason why I've called up Andile.
Well, a second team was also announced that will compete in the COSAFA Championships and will be coached by University of Pretoria head coach Maud Khumalo. SAI in Group A alongside Namibia, Eswatini and Seychelles. Also, the Carling knockout draw was held today and it resulted in some thrilling matchups. Defending champions Stellenbosch are set to kick off their title defense against an Amazulu team currently without a coach following the recent dismissal of their mentor Pablo Franco. Kaizer Chiefs face a challenging encounter against SuperSport United. Orlando Pirates will host the newly promoted Magesi, and Mamelodi Sundowns will host Golden Arrows, with both teams featuring new management on their benches. In tennis, Novak Djokovic continued or has advanced to the last 16 of the Shanghai Masters after beating Flavio Cobolli 6-1 and 6-2 in over an hour. He will next play Roman Safulin in the next round. Then moving on to rugby, Bulls have named over a dozen capped Springboks in a 34-play squad for the 3-match URC tour, which gets underway with a clash against Ospreys on Saturday. The notable absentee is Springbok flank Marco van Staden, who misses out after playing the full 80 minutes in the 47-21 victory over Ulster, which saw the Bulls claim successive wins to start their campaign. Meanwhile, in cricket, South African captain Laura Fulvard says that they'll be looking to fix up in the field when they face Scotland tomorrow in the Women's World Cup. The Proteas dropped 5 catches in their 7-wicket defeat to England yesterday. Now, the Proteas women now return to Dubai, hoping to bounce back against Scotland, who are winless in 2 matches. South Africa are currently third in their group with 2 points after 2 games, and they will definitely be looking to get more points in, especially against a side like Scotland. With that said, it is a wrap from my side. And John, I will definitely miss you.
Oh, thanks.
It's been great to be with you.
Ashraf's been listening, so he's going to ask you tomorrow. I know. I'm going to message him now.
What?
Dear Ashraf, ask to me about her 5K too. Dear Ashraf.
You know what? The only day you'll find out how long it takes me to run a 5K is actually if you run with me that 5K.
And you and I live nearby.
Yeah.
Park run this Saturday.
This Saturday,
park run.
No. Maybe like in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks. Not. That's my birthday weekend. So the weekend after my birthday weekend. All right.
Deal.
End of October. We'll
Deal.
record it. We'll make a little thing. I'll put it on my radio show.
Deal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Huh?
She's going to start training now. We'll see. No, you're in trouble now. Oh, I'm excited. I'm actually shivering with anticipation. It's 22 minutes to 6.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
The Stallions get it that the only way to remain on top of Group L is through a win. However, the Swallows refuse to be left behind. They target a second victory to move away from the 3rd position. This is the Total Energies AFCON 2025 qualifier. Experience the journey to Morocco, Burkina Faso versus Burundi on Thursday, 10 October at 9 p.m. Live everywhere for everyone, always on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Andile, the CEO of a multinational corporation, is driving home with his daughter.
Dad, why is the tooth fairy so stingy?
Stingy? Well, she makes sure everyone gets something.
Does everyone at your company get something?
Yes, they're covered by Old Mutual Corporate's employee benefits.
Even Abdul.
Of course, he gets retirement benefits.
And Sisampa on that big machine.
She gets group risk cover if that big machine hurts her.
Wow, that's amazing, Dad.
Visit oldmutual.co.za/employee benefits and go from questions to solutions for your employees with Old Mutual Corporate. Old Mutual Life Assurance Company SA Limited is a licensed FSP and life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Is alcohol affecting your work? Is alcohol affecting your family? Is alcohol affecting your relationships? Visit aasouthafrica.org.za or call 086-143-5722. With Alcoholics Anonymous, you need never stand alone again. This is a SABC supported initiative.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
Moneyweb market updates up in 20 odd minutes or so from now. Jimmy Miyaha, what you got planned today?
Good evening, John. Good evening to the listeners. We're going to be taking a look at the developments out of China. Greg Host touched on them in the news update a little while ago. China's retaliating towards the EU's imposition of tariffs on EV vehicles that China exports into Europe. We're going to be looking at that. They've gone after the brandy sector. France is not happy about that. The likes of LVMH and Remy Martin are suffering for that. The share prices of those luxury goods companies are down on the day. We're going to be taking a look at the technical insolvency that exists within 3 organizations in South Africa, namely Cell C, MultiChoice, and the Post Office. From someone that studied accounting, I always thought there was only one definition of insolvency. You're either insolvent or not. But apparently we can get into technical insolvency. So we're going to look at that. We're going to understand that, try and see if we can make sense of it. Then we've got a conversation with Luno. They've partnered with Zappa, the third-party provider that allows individuals to pay with alternative means of payment at various outlets. And Luno now will let you pay at around 30,000 merchants in crypto. Big moves in the crypto space, big developments for the adoption and the use of crypto in South Africa. We're going to look into that and try and make sense of it. And then we've got a Agri Tuesday this week. We typically alternate between Agri Tuesdays and Property Tuesdays. So we did Property last week. This week is Agri Tuesday, and we're going to be taking a look at the anti-venom production slowdown or shortage in the anti-venom market in South Africa. It's very interesting because it affects you and I as individuals, especially if we are pet owners as well, because apparently human beings and dogs are the most typical victims of snake bites, and with a shortage of antivenom, it should be worth looking into, or a slowdown rather, in the amount of antivenom that is being produced. But before we get to all of that, the markets have been moving. It's been a sea of red across the board, with the exception of a couple of markets here and there. Asian markets all in the red with the exception of Shanghai. That was up about 4.5%. Chinese markets finally coming back after Golden Week. Hang Seng was down about 9.4%. So lots to look into there to understand what happened there. That likely had a spillover effect into our own markets as well. They were also in the red. But before we get to that, European markets all in the red. Germany was down about 0.5%. The FTSE in London about 1.4%, and the CAC 40 in France about 0.75%. Our own markets were down significantly as well. Resources down 2.3%, industrials 1.5% in the red, financial stocks kind of flat. But as a result of all of those movements, the all-share was down 0.95%, with the top 40 down a little over 1%. The Rand gave back quite a bit of gains against all of the majors except the Australian dollar. It's at 17 Rand 57 to the US dollar. 23 Rand will be 1 British pound. 1 euro will cost you 19 Rand and 27 cents. 1 Australian dollar will still cost you less than 12 Rand. It's 11 Rand and 82 cents. If we look at the gold price, that's at $2,609 an ounce, coming off 1.3% at this stage. Brent crude price, $77 a barrel, coming off from those 80 odd dollar highs. Platinum pricing $961 an ounce, and palladium pricing $1,004 an ounce. So we've got quite a bit to dig into a little later on. I'm going to be chatting to Chantal Marx around her thoughts around the market movements and why the markets are behaving the way they are. But before we go, we come back with that a little later on. It's back to you, John.
Thank you very much, Jimmy Miyaha, with the MediWeb market update, and also saw some news about the Minister of Energy, the Minister of Minerals, saying that petrol price should be coming down a lot. They're going to look at the taxes. I always feel when they talk about these things that it's all sort of talk at these conferences. When they have these big conferences and the ministers stand up or industry leaders stand up and they go, it should be this, it should be that. And then it kind of just fades away. But yeah, there's things that could be changed in the petrol. Make our lives a little easier, could it? Please? Let's go to voice notes. 0614 104 107.
Sometimes we need somebody who can assist us as South Africans that you are running Spaza Shop, because we have a big problem.
We played that one. Okay, sorry. There is somebody to help you. I was just looking now. There's the Small Enterprise Development Agency. That's what they do. I was just having a look at their website because they were criticized earlier on the show. There's Business Talk, Smart, Business Start, Business Help, Business Grow. There's services and vacancies, and there's a whole lot of things. So have a look at their website. It is seda.org.za. seda.org.za.
Good afternoon, SFM. And John, that guy for Action SA, what he's saying, it doesn't make sense. Absolutely, it doesn't make sense. When you talk of a foreigner, meaning say, those people, they came into an area with that idea of opening a business. Where were the locals? The foreigners, they came and they find opportunity, number one. Number two, you can't tell a person to play football, yet his talent is fishing. How can you give someone money to start business, something that is not even interested with to begin with? No, doesn't make sense. Anonymous.
Good afternoon, John. John, does the KZN head of Action SA expect the DA to support them after what Action SA did to DA in Swane? No, that's ridiculous. In times like this, it's a spade for spade. I cannot support you when you hold me back, or when you deny me, when you're a backstabber. Tit for tat, John. That's how it should be. Let's call a spade a spade. And Anonymous from Soweto, thank you.
Hi, John. This is Anonymous here. I think our government should do like this Lesotho government has done. If you are a foreign national in a certain country, then you want to open a business, then you should partner up with the citizen of that country. That's what should happen here in this case. Because every time we're gonna be talking about, hey, these people are selling poison, are selling this. Like the government should stand up and take initiative. This is Anonymous again.
Good afternoon, John. You know, I see a change of pattern here. I think Afe Forum is onto something. Panyaza Lesufi responds to interviews personally in any interview. The fact that he is sending a spokesperson, it means the allegations are serious and he's taking them seriously. And two, he deactivated his Twitter account. Why did he do that? I can't wait to see what Afe Forum has on him. This is Umlu from Joburg.
Afternoon, John. It seems as if there is no one who's innocent to ANC together with Alliance. Because if now a person that I was trust so much, Panyaza, is being implicated on a wrongdoing, who else must trust within the ANC? I've just read one of the children said, those who grow up in 1994 upward, they don't care about the ANC. Only what they hear about the ANC is corruption. Then they don't trust ANC. Then those elders who are leading ANC now, what they must think about the youth of today, because they don't care about the ANC. Then they say it, that they don't care about the ANC. Only what they know about the ANC is the corruption.
Hi, John. In Vereeniging, we've got the Somali or the Ethiopians guys who are owning the whole block. The whole street is under them. And unfortunately, we've got a local government, full local government, which can't even pay its employees. But they've allowed these people to do business there, which in my view, I don't think they also contribute in paying taxes like us citizens. So the NC government needs to wake up. They must wake up.
Let's take one more. 0614 104 107.
Hi, it's here from SAFM and the listener. You know, I don't know what is going on, especially on the black society and the state. The state keep on producing the people going to abuse, the fellow black people into this country. Firstly started by the soldiers, where like they were ambushing, beating the people by then the police, and then the Metro Police. Now they come with Amapanyasa. Those people, the target of those people to be trained is going to be the black people. They beat them daily in front of the people and so on, and they get away with the murder. They always kicking them, doing them. They coming from our community, but the moment they coming from the training, they are the enemies of the fellow black, their families and so on and so on. They hit everyone. mphatlele hete kuruleni.
We might have more time for some WhatsApps, 0614-104-107. But after the break, we're going to hear from this year's Eskom Expo International Science Fair. We're going to talk to one of the project winners.
CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe said, the exponential growth and global competitiveness of football in Africa has resulted in substantial interests from major African and international broadcasters in African football. SABC has been participating competitively in the CAF media rights bids. CAF welcomes them as partners, joining a number of CAF's media rights holders. We are committed to ensuring that CAF's competitions, including its broadcast products, are world-class.
For 18 years, Kumbulekaya has been fostering healing through forgiveness and reconciliation.
Are you asking me that? Yes. I grew up without a mom.
So what happened to your family?
What family? You are my family. What happened to you?
Witness as families forgive one another and reunite after a long time. Catch the new season of Kumbulekaya on SABC 1 every Wednesday at 9 p.m.
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily. You are listening to Jon Gericke on SAFM.
It's our winning feature to finish off. Let's talk to this year's Eskom Expo International Science Fair winner. So Sulisiwe Mqaiya is a grade 11 learner at Lulaza High School in the Cape Town region. Recently presented with the Best Development Project Award for investigating the population dynamics and infection rates of Hector's lanternfish. Solosiwe joins me now. Solosiwe, remind me, how old are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm 17 years old.
17 years old. Now, I need to know some things before we go into your project. What is Hector's lanternfish?
Hector's lanternfish is a marine species that is found on the shores and slopes of the West Coast. Basically, it's a fish that comes from the family of sardines. It is not consumed by people, but it is prey for other marine species and produces a lot of things in the fishing industry as well.
And you decided to research what?
I decided to research about a fish parasite, which is a Cardiodactylus speloti, its effects on the growth of lanternfish.
Why did you pick this? It sounds ridiculously difficult.
As a person that has recently been exposed to marine biology, I guess I could say that I saw a gap and I went into it. As soon as I learned the discovery that the Hector's lanternfish is infected by the copypod, which is the Cardiodactylus speloti, I immediately asked myself what could be the effects of that parasite on the fish, and I decided to make it a project.
Before we find out some of your findings, you collected samples. How did you collect samples of this little fish?
The samples were collected by the DFSE here in Cape Town, which is the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment. So I would just visit the marine biology lab for taking my measurements.
What do these old adults, I'm imagining with big degrees and education, say when a young grade 11 learner phones them up or rocks up and says, "Hello, I'd like to do this research"?
I would say that it motivates them as well.
All right.
Yes, because I think it's nice for them to see that they're still kids who have an interest in STEM fields and who like to partake in such opportunities.
And before we get to your findings, which we're going to do in a moment, why should we care about this Hector's lanternfish? If we don't consume it, why is it so important?
The Hector's lanternfish is a prey for other marine species, other fish specifically that we consume as humans, as well as it provides fish oil and as well as cat food. So if the infections of the parasites on the fish increase, then it would mean that the population dynamics of the Atlantic fish would be weakened, and it would cause a great impact on the fishing industry as a whole.
So what did you find in your research of these 500 samples?
I found that the infection of the corticid on the fish reduces the growth, the mass and length of the fish, and when the fish is infected by the parasites, it is less likely to spawn. So it makes it difficult for it to reproduce.
So that's a worry that it won't be able to reproduce in time, because tons of the stuff is caught for, as you say, fish oil and fish meal, obviously prey for other fish as well. The fewer of these there are, it just has a knock-on effect.
Yes.
So now, you've done this research, you've obviously won the award. Congratulations. What does winning the award mean for you?
I think I would say that participating in this project, I come from a school that lacks resources, but winning this competition shows me that my background doesn't define my potential, and I'm capable of succeeding against all odds.
Did you do it all by yourself, or did you get help?
I had my mentors, my teacher, Mr. as well as Mr. Thomas Mtunzi.
And your mates at school?
Yes, my mates at school really helped me when it came to my academics. When I would have to visit the marine lab, I would have to miss a day or two at school. So they would just help me catch up with my schoolwork, and they were very great support.
Is this what you want to be when you grow up now, Salosiwe? This is marine biology is in your blood.
I would say that I am considering it, but my mind has really fixating on physical oceanography, specifically ocean modeling.
Physical oceanography. In other words, when we hear about those massive ships that are doing pinging and blasting into the ocean, you want to get involved with that?
Yes, sir.
And try and be more environmental friendly, I hope.
Yes, sir.
It's fascinating. Are there many people that want to get into ocean sciences? When you talk to your friends at school, or when you were talking to these doctors and very clever people where you were doing your research, is this a field that people are interested in?
Definitely not. Most people, majority of the people don't even know that physical oceanography exists. They don't know what it is about. Even the scientists that I came across with when I was doing my research, I would ask them why they made the decision to follow a career in ocean sciences. And they said that they just chose a course that they didn't know and went into it without even knowing and spending life along the way. And I think that just intrigues me. And I love the fact that I have been exposed to physical oceanography at such an early age and at such an early stage in my journey.
You got a nice little cash injection from winning this prize, Best Development Project at the ESCOM Expo International Science Fair. What are you going to do with that?
I would like to contribute some of it to my school's STEM club. We have shortage of chemicals to do experiments, as well as save up some for my studies as well.
It's been an inspiration talking to you. Keep up the great work. Salosiwe Mqaiya, a grade 11 learner from the Lulaza High School, who won Best Developmental Project at the ESCOM Expo International Science Fair. Study of population dynamics and infection rates of Hector's lanternfish. Gap for everything. Thank you very much to Katu for pushing the buttons, Keys, Vusani and Temba for putting the show together at 6 o'clock. Ashraf is back tomorrow.
Efforts to address the rising cost of living